everyone, to Overwatch World Cup Stage 3 in Bangkok, Thailand. I am your friendly neighborhood host, Mika, and this is Zoe.
And we are sharing this stage with 6 teams, which will battle it out for the 2 tickets to BlizzCon, where they will fight against South Korea, Finland, and of course also the USA and Canada, which already qualified. And these 6 teams are no other than Sweden, Denmark, China, Spain, Australia, and of course the hosting country, Thailand.
So let's kick off today, right? And we will look at the schedule and see which of these teams will be going up against which. Australia will be going up against Denmark first, then China will be taking on Thailand, then Australia will be going up against Sweden, then Denmark will be going up against China, and rounding out the day, Spain will be going up against Sweden.
And we're already on day 2, so let's take a look at where the teams are in the standings after 1 day of action-packed Overwatch on this very stage. Currently leading the board are Australia and Denmark. Australia with a slight better map differential, as they did really good on that first day. Both of them won their first 2 bouts. In the middle, we have China with 1 win to their name. However, they also only played 1 match, so that's kind of natural. And that match was against Sweden, which of course lost the 1 game they played against China. No, of course they lost it because it was China. It's just like they only played 1 and that one was lost against China. And at the end of the standings, we do see Spain as well as Thailand, who had a rough start. But you know what? This was only 1 day of Overwatch and there is still plenty to come.
Absolutely, and you at home can follow along with the action if you use the hashtag OWWC2018, and maybe you later on will be featured in the Fan Pulse, sponsored by T-Mobile.
Yeah, so make sure to tweet at us so we can have your tweets on that big screen. I can't wait to see what your thoughts are on the games you're seeing on the big screen. But Mika, I think it's time to bring out the teams for this first match.
Absolutely. To our left, we have Team Denmark. To our right, we have Team Australia. These guys are ready. The audience is ready. So let's kick it over to our lovely boys, ZP and Jake.
We're here at day 2 of the Overwatch World Cup down in Bangkok, and it's going to be Australia taking on Denmark live. And I gotta say, both of these teams, dark horses here in the competition. Gonna be interesting to see which one can outrace the other.
Yeah, we've seen so far they're topping the board, the highest so far map score in the standings. Of course, Sweden and China playing each other first makes those a little bit misleading, but this match is still crucially important. Both of these teams are fighting on the bubble. They need this win to put themselves in the best position to qualify for BlizzCon. So this is certainly one of the most important matches of today.
No doubt, and I mean, both of these teams, they did quite well yesterday, but now, of course, they'll have a true test in each other, and of course, even winning this match here might not be enough, where you have Sweden and China lurking in the wings. So this is going to be a big test here today.
And I think there's also an interesting narrative going on where we have Custa on the side of Team Australia, as we see their roster here, coming in from the Overwatch League, bringing in that support experience, probably bringing some main calling attributes that might be missing in players with a little bit less experience.
And we've seen that throughout the World Cup program here so far, where you have these veteran players are instructing players that might not be old enough to get into OWL, but are very talented, and you see the results. So, of course, Australia, they've been a joy to watch. But now let's take a look on the other side, Team Denmark, where you have a lot of top EU talent here, a lot of familiar names from the contenders scene across the board. You got players like Fisher that, of course, were playing in NA contenders. You have a whole bunch of EU contenders talent, from Kellex to Shax, going all around. And it's just been good to see these players representing their country and getting to sort of intermingle with this higher level play.
Yeah, and mirroring Australia, we also have this experienced Overwatch League support coming in to sort of maybe mentor these younger players, bring them up to speed on our level Overwatch. And here we're going to go into the map selection. It's going to be Oasis first for our control map.
And of course, Oasis, this is a map where teams have been pretty flexible, where it's not that unlikely to see Pharah come into play, but we've also seen teams try and ground and pound with more typical 3-3, a lot of Sombra in action regardless of where you've been, so teams have definitely been flexible here on Oasis.
Huss especially has really done really great things on Sombra as well.
So if in case you're wondering, what is a control map? We got you covered. Let's take a look.
This is Control. 2 teams fight head-to-head for control of a common objective, located in the middle of the map. To capture the objective, your team must stand within its range for a set amount of time. Capture percentage is continually given to whichever team is in control. The enemy will fight to clear your team off and capture the objective for themselves. Losing control will pause your progress. Now your opponent gains capture percentage. If both teams are on the objective when one of them reaches 99% capture, the game enters overtime. This extends play indefinitely until one of the teams is cleared off. The round ends when either team achieves 100% capture. Each round is played on one of the map's 3 unique areas. Control is best of 3, so whichever team captures 2 objectives wins.
The University, and it's going to be Denmark going to the high ground here, running the McCree composition. Shax. Some pickoffs, holding back for now.
Denmark looking ready for this far. Nice composition.
Yeah, it's a good swap up here where, look, you do a little bit of homework Australia, you know that they love running Farah, so going to the McCree makes sense.
CKM, though, playing the matchup well, playing at this maximum range. McCree has too much damage fall to reliably get...
The objective is now
Fisher was getting poked down from afar, and now it's Trill who's able to finish it on off. Australia worked the man advantage, and more crucially, Trill was able to get out. Another pickoff here for Australia, so they keep their men alive, they take down the other team, and now they're maybe able to just easily take the point.
Australia taking that first mid capture and running this Ana and Mercy setup allows Trill to get so aggressive, jumps out, and is fully healed in just 1 second. So great usage of this double main healer setup for Australia. They have a lot of resources to feed these tanks.
Alrighty, so CKM still using this defensive far position where once you get the point, you don't have to overextend. You can sit back here and make Denmark come to you.
It's on Denmark to make the plays. Kellex making the swap over to Mercy. Maybe that damage boost on the McCree can make the difference at these long range. CKM taking a few shots, forced to back off the angle. But Huss gets in, takes down Shax. This aggressive play from Australia looks to be working out.
This is more of what we saw yesterday, but oh, Denmark strikes back. They punish Trill. They're going to get Shax right back up to the right. And now it's Australia working at a man disadvantage with CKM. He's locked and loaded, has the barrage. He can go back in, but you know what? Australia decides, we don't want to do this right now. We're going to let this one go.
A little bit of miscoordination there, going in, finding that McCree pick, but it's not quite enough to secure the round. Of course, the Resurrect from Mercy coming into play there, very, very important in the situation. Once you lose Diva Mech, that Farah just can't really get in against a high noon. She knows how quickly she'll fall if she makes that long cross across the point.
For the next fight here, Huss has been really aggressive going for supports in the back line. This time around, just going to have the EMP. So his main goal here, go in, get the EMP in the back line. Setting up now for Australia, the rest of Australia, getting ready to strike. There's the EMP. CKM is down though. Died right before the EMP came in. So now it's going to be up to Trill to get a little bit of an evener here. He makes space for the Resurrection. CKM's back in, and this is still working out fine for Australia.
Trance protects Kellex on the res. Fisher's back up, steals something out. Trill using a combo rage, gets Ding off the map, and CKM with the barrage takes down Nerf DD.
Really nice space being made for the Resurrection here, but Shax picks off 2. Denmark not out of it yet. Going back to the point, they're gonna burn the rally. Coming right back over and in Australia. They have to give it up. Jake, that was crazy back and forth.
The armor stack building up here, so important. Shax at 300 HP is gonna be so much more aggressive in CKM's face, and Australia committing so many ults to that and not really getting anything out of it. It was a great save by Kellex, instantly healing Ding when the EMP comes out. Huss is not able to finish the frag, and Denmark stabilizes on point. More capture ticking up here.
Denmark holding firm right now and nerfed. Gonna be having the Primal Rage for the next fight. Just waiting where, for now, a little bit of poke damage. Just have to push it. But Self-Strike goes to the back and caught Shax. Shax unable to get out of the way. So, meanwhile though, you got Nerf Primal Rage making room. And once again, you see the trend of Winston's making space for the Resurrection. And that's how Denmark's able to stay in control.
Nerf barely staying alive here, but because he does, oh, and Shax sniping down Custer there, getting aggressive into the spawn, but great movements around the map from Denmark, utilizing their superior damage advantage with this Mercy's and Yada setup. This McCree is super powered.
How much has he been containing CKM so far?
Very, very impressively. CKM has only gone 1 barrage so far. Now it's up to Huss with the EMP as it takes the 99% for Team Denmark.
Huss gonna drop the EMP, Australia, everything on the line here. Meanwhile, Shax almost gets Custer, 1 shot away, doesn't get it. Turn, looks to Huss, needs 1 more, can't land the headshot. Denmark, a little bit pushed back. Still pretty healthy. They killed that one, a dead eye, Shax strikes, gets 2, and that's gonna give this right over to Denmark. The University is theirs.
It's all Shax in the kill feed. What great plays from McCree. Nice 180 flashbang on that soundbar, almost falling to her, but saved by his team, able to regroup, reset that round. Great team play there. I love the switch to Mercy by Kellex. Understands that against that Farah, every little point of damage that McCree can get is crucial.
Love now.
Experience
tranquility.
double
Certainly, and
Now
the McCree
show them.
so well against Australia. We talked about this when Australia played Thailand. And they were
Verdammt.
focusing on this Thailand. Thailand, without really a core hit scan player who's so comfortable on the McCree, didn't punish it. But Shaq's looking very clean on this McCree. Maybe he's going to force CKM towards a Genji pick, maybe something else.
So Denmark coming out strong here, and of course, one thing that is worth knowing is that Australia, they've been a bit of a slow starting team, right? You think about their matches yesterday, they didn't really get off to a blazing start in any of their series. So we'll see just how they adapt as the series goes on. You definitely can't sleep on them.
Certainly, and Denmark just looking very clean with the swap composition, looking very prepared for what Australia was going to bring. I mean, you could see them rolling onto that high ground at the very start of the round. That's the position that the Pharaoh wants to be playing. She wants to be wrapping around the coast. She wants to be getting those long-range angles, poking down the Zen from the flank. But if you're preemptively moving there, especially starting on the Lucio, getting you up to that high ground before the Pharaoh reaches it herself, she's kind of locked into this part of the map that she doesn't really want to be playing.
Yeah, we saw CKM just kind of sitting in the back where, yeah, he was getting a little bit poked, but it wasn't the freedom that Afar normally gets. And it seems like that's the power when you run those hit scan heroes in those situations. And it's not easy. We've seen McCree's fail readily, time after time, but Shax, he wasn't failing.
I mean, this is a classic protect the president strategy for McCree. You've got the triple support, Mercy, Zen, and Brigitte. Brigitte protects the McCree, make sure that any dive gets bounced back, sent away, give him the little bit of space that he needs to operate most effectively. The damage boost, the heals are going to be constantly on him, and he's always going to be focusing discorded targets. You get into a situation where sometimes you're just one-tapping headshots, 200 HP targets. That's very difficult to deal with, and honestly is going to force CKM off the Pharah, which, I mean, CKM's best character so far in the stage has really been the Pharah, so I think if Denmark can put Australia onto these compositions they're less comfortable with, they're going to be in a great position for the rest of this match.
Now, one thing that kind of brings up, of course, is that McCree can be a counter to the Pharah at times, but it's not always consistent. Do you think that CKM should have swapped to the Genji earlier, where his Genji is pretty good, but on the same note, Pharahs are used to winning battles against McCrees. You actually see McCrees fail very often, more so than you would think, so it seems like a hard decision.
I think it's all about the dive, really, from the rest of Team Australia. But with Team Australia running the Ana instead of a Zenyatta, they're a little bit less aggressive on that dive. They're relying on, you know, double healing their Winston and their Diva when they do commit for the dive, and it's doing these sort of soft commits where the Sombra pokes a little, tries to get one kill and back out. But with the McCree, with the flashbang, you could get controlled as a Winston, and no amount of heals in the world is going to save you from that massive damage output. So I think more than really just the McCree, it's that Mercy, that Zenyatta, and that Brigitte on top of the McCree that make those dive strategies a little bit more difficult to execute with the Pharah.
Now, one thing I would say here, and just looking at the next map, which will be City Center, is that do you think you can run the McCree there? Because McCree, if you run on University, right, is that it's a lower skybox. You don't have as much place to go. McCree isn't really hit by fall off anywhere near as hard, whereas you go to some place like City Center, and Pharah has a lot more room to fly.
One thing we saw a lot of in the Overwatch League playoffs on this newer patch was that on City Center, a lot of teams favored a more aggressive triple DPS composition, setups that we haven't seen for a long time in Overwatch, and it looks like Shax is going to make the switch onto the Soldier 76, and I like this a lot. You're going to have a little bit better survivability against the Genji, against the Winston, able to run out of those situations and drop a heal station, and on top of that, he's got Fisher and Kelix to protect him, so Soldier's going to be able to get a lot of value with these long ranges, but I do like CKM's decision not to play the Pharah. The Soldier would have really torn him apart on this map.
Yeah, Soldier's definitely been in vogue here on City Center, and again, we see Denmark pretty aggressively looping around, using the Lucio speed to get into enemy territory. Of course, Australia, they've been favoring the high ground. They've been going for it consistently in round after round here so far.
Denmark getting surprisingly aggressive. I think now they see the composition. They know that it's on them to just survive the dive. They don't need to initiate here. They have the Soldier 76. They have the Zenyatta. They will have a damage advantage if this fight goes long. So it's really just on this Soldier 76 to stay alive, get as much value as he can. And Denmark with a ton of point progress. Australia forced to drop just to contest. And the commitment from Trill finds Ding. That's a crucial first pick.
Trill just leaps on in, gets Ding, and more importantly, he still lives to tell the tale. CKM is so low, but he's getting healed up. Shax unable to finish him off, and if you don't finish off these pickoffs, it gets real grim real fast. Again, Trill super low right now, gets healed back up. CKM down, Denmark starting to fight this back a bit. Trill having to retreat, and now we'll see what Shax can do. He hasn't had the most opportunity here so far. Look to Australia, what they're building up. What do you see here but a Sombra about to drop the EMP, and we got another pause.
Another pause. Time for these teams to think about how they want to take this engagement. Tension is absolutely building here, and we see Ding making the switch onto Moira. I like that decision making. I mean, the fight's still going on. Your team's calling, hey, maybe we can win this. It's not about playing the Zenyatta anymore. Maybe that's the optimal play for your composition. Just switch to the Moira, get back to the fight as quickly as possible. Of course, Kelix already on the Lucio. And as well, you're always worried in these situations when you get picked off early on mid and the fight's still going on. If you come back on Zenyatta, there's a chance that you could just get spawn camped and fought alone where your team's not there to defend you. So I love the switch to Moira. That makes a lot of sense in this situation. But Denmark really cannot afford to leave the point at all. I mean, Australia at like almost, I can't even tell, 99% or something of the capture. That's incredibly close. So Denmark's going to be forced to fight on the point. They got a lot of value of that Soldier 76 heal station, though. I want to highlight that because really great play. Losing one support, well, we still have Soldier 76, and if that heal station is healing 5 or 6 players, I mean, that's an insane amount of value. That's faster than almost any other heal in the game when you really think about it.
I mean, the thing is that people haven't been thinking about, right? Soldier has almost been an endangered species a lot of time. In fairness, we have seen him more on this particular stage to begin with, but he does have utility that some other DPS heroes don't have. But one thing I look at here, and what we're going to be looking at for the next fight, is that Huss almost has the EMP. He's very, very close. What do you do against an EMP built that early in a skirmish like this? How can Denmark play around this?
EMP will be really devastating here if Australia can capitalize on it. They do have a little bit of HP problems with some of their players, but the nano boost as well is a major way to combo that EMP. Sending a Winston in, and if you have no abilities, you're hacked, you're EMP'd, then you just can't escape that Tesla coil, and it's going to completely destroy you on top of the Primal Rage. So it's really going to be on Denmark to somehow sustain on point. They have to manage to heal through all that damage at the same time EMP'd. I think that EMP might be a little too much for them, but at the same time, if you're Australia and it costs you all of your major ultimates to take this first flip, Denmark's going to come back into the point with a major ultimate advantage. You might get 10, 15, 20% progress from winning that first mid-fight, but if Denmark retakes point control and still has a few ultimates to work with, they could just as easily flip the advantage back.
All right, well, we're going to be getting right back in the game here. The action underway here once more, and Huss does have the EMP built up, drops the EMP immediately, and you see they go for the tanks right away here, looking for the pickoff on the nerf. They get it. Meanwhile, Trill says, you know what, I'd like to play some traffic. It's a pretty good idea. Knocks Soldier over and in. He's able to get out of it, but this is an advantage here to Australia. They're keeping control of the point, gets the juggle on the other side, and Trill, again, showing us some pretty nice tank play here so far.
Australia taking the first fight here, but just as I was saying before, it cost them 5 ultimates. CKM's Blade is the only thing they're coming up on. A late pick on Fisher is going to buy them a little bit of breathing room, give Huss a chance to build another EMP, but wow, as I said, that's incredibly impressive. Dropping EMP that fight, but Huss is somehow back to 75%. He's been so impressive on the Sombra thus far in the stage.
That's shades of old Sombra back there, back when health packs would give you EMP and 2 or 3 cycles, so to speak. But yeah, I mean, Huss, he's going to have it up quickly. Denmark's probably not expecting it. And Denmark, they're coming in here, everything is going to be on the table. They're going to open up with the rally. But Australia, they're ready. They're holding back. CKM with the blade, just biding his time and opportunity here. And Denmark, not sure they're ready. Here comes a nano blade. CKM going in. Right now, stunned. In a rough spot. Can't get to where he needs to get to. A diva on one side of Gia on the other. CKM gets nothing.
A miss dash costs CKM the blade, and the aimbot from Shags taking down absolutely everyone, forces the tanks to chase him down. They do get the kill eventually, but that pulls them so far out of position. Denmark with a ton of control on the point, but it's Trill fighting back close to the second Primal Rage of the round. But Danny finding the picks. This is crucial. The stun on the Trill. I want to go commit the Primal Rage here. This fight is looking really good for Denmark.
It's looking good for Denmark, but I think what Australia's looking for here is delay. That's why Trill is immediately going to use the Primal. Yeah, it's on a hope and a prayer. Oh boy, Brigitte going, you know what, I really don't want to go into traffic right now. Trill making time, making space. Australia in control all the while, so even though they might be about to drop the point, they're about to be at 90%.
Certainly, I mean, I said it costs a lot to, pay ultimates to win a fight, but if you can get to 99, it's almost always worth it. You just need to win one more fight, so Denmark, absolutely no mistakes left in the tank. They need to play perfectly from here on out, and with very little to work with, I expect them to get really aggressive into the spawn. Leverage the Soldier 76's long damage range, little bit of fall off, get in their faces. You need to win a fight quick, because if Huss is allowed to set up and get the EMP that he wants, Australia is just going to quickly retake and take the round.
They're not doing that, though. They're going to go up, but they're setting up Huss for a perfect EMP. Meanwhile, where is Huss right now?
Cancel the EMP!
Stun! The EMP doesn't happen! What a great flashbang! Or not flashbang, but what a great Brigitte stun coming in the moment. And Denmark able to stay on it.
Absolutely crucial play from Fisher. Now Kelix with a beat, not scared to drop it, no EMP to worry about it. But Denmark, such a great play here. They're not committing to the fight, they're just faking out Australia, and Australia knows how dangerous this aggression could be. They're forced to retreat to the spawn over and over again, and as time ticks by, the capture point is just ticking up over and over again. CKM, though, coming up on another nano blade. Hopefully he can get something this time, but Nerf takes down a Kraken. There's no nano boost anymore.
Kraken out of the fight, and that was a hero play coming out from Fisher to deny the EMP like that, to stop Australia's win condition. And now, okay, a little bit of back cap coming in from Huss. He always does this.
Yeah, he always does this, but it's really not going to find anything here. Denmark's sitting on the point, so Huss just making a little bit of a distraction, pulling Denmark back. Denmark's aggressive posture has been working really well for them here. We'll see if they can continue to do it. Of course, the Nano Blade incoming. It's on Kelix to have a perfect beat drop timing to save his team. And here comes the Nano Blade, but the beat exactly on point for CKM. CKM.
Oh, and they shut down CKM. A great rotation coming in from Denmark. They don't let the Nano Blade get its job done. And now for Australia, take a look. They had so much room to work with. They lose a Kraken. They're down to a final fight, and you just see Nerf going in deeper.
Nerf understands the situation. Last minute staggers here mean that Australia is going to be forced to recontest with less than their full 6 players. This could allow Denmark, even though they're a little bit low on ultimates, to just crush players one by one as they re-enter the point. It's going to be on Huss or CKM to probably touch this with the Winston so far into spawn.
Final opportunity here for Australia. We'll see what they can do to turn this fight around. Ding. Back here on the Poison Moira, healing a team up. Self-destruct coming in. Here comes Trill, though, trying to knock some people into self-destruct. Doesn't quite do it, but still able to find Shax. Big disruption coming on in. Getting the bring in a well fight, and you don't want to be in a corner there. Custa delivers a coup de grace, and Australia is getting back into this fight. Better late than never.
Australia getting a ton of value out of that Primal, separating those targets out from the Death Ball that makes them much easier to pick off. And now Australia with a man advantage on point, but Ding's Coalescence getting so much value on point. Everyone healed up. Trill takes the Nano Boost, wants to get another Primal Rage, but a great boost. Nice peel from Kellex.
Still, you have to respect the nanoed Winston. It makes a lot of space for Australia. They're able to re-secure the point even further. No, Trill goes down. Trill wasn't able to get heals in time, and he's been so big for getting space. But look at CKM. He's built up a blade midway through. He's wounded. Is he going to have the opportunity? Does get healed back up. Is he going to use it as Nerf is taking a nap? The blade coming out from CKM. Looking for anyone on Denmark here. It is a full-on brawl between both these teams.
CKM can't find a second, but as you're saying, so scrappy here on the point. Fisher, though, back on the Tracer. So strong in these last-second contests. Punk very, very low. Will they stop him from remacking? No, he gets back into the suit. That's huge.
Emergency Hammond coming in here from Australia. No holds are being barred. They want to keep this map in contest, but Fisher now on the Tracer. So close to getting a pulse bomb. Huss gonna drop the EMP on the top. Australia going in once more. They get Fisher. They get him off the knockback. And now Australia putting it back the other way, but here's a Coalescence from Ding. This fight is nuts.
They hacked the Coalescence, turn it off, cancel that Moira ult. Now she's without a fade. They're trying to chase her down, and also Kellex as well. The healers from Denmark receiving so much pressure. CKM, I think, falling into traffic there, but Australia looking to overwhelm on the point with a Coalescence of their own, and no hack on the side of Denmark. No way to shut it down. This is so much value.
A Kraken melts down his counterpart, looking for the baby. Diva gets it. Danny can't get back into the suit. Huss working on the back, found Fisher, and Australia finally perhaps has done enough. They flip the point. Denmark, do you have anything left? Can anyone touch a point? Kellex, he's real close, and it catches the point just in time.
I like the Soldier 76 this round in theory, but Denmark just not able to restabilize on point. Great adjustments from Australia, playing around that Soldier 76, and here looking to close out this round. Keep Oasis going, go to that third map. But the Primal Rage from Nerf, keeping things going. The EMP though, without jumps, it's so hard to stay alive on that Primal.
He's just a big punching bag at that point, and they punch him right on down. Final bit of delay coming in from Kellex, but this time it's not going to be enough. Australia sending us to a round number 3, and what a great start to the day so far.
Denmark making that incredibly close though, after going down to a 95% of capture for our team Australia. Great plays from them, getting aggressive in the spawn. That nice bash from Fisher, keeping them in the game, denying the EMP. But Huss doing such a good job building those EMPs, staying alive so long, just keeping that charge constantly building. And with that threat of the EMP, it's so difficult to play the ultimate game that you want to with the Soldier 76.
I want to sort of take a breather and be reflective here about the biggest play of that game. How crazy was that stun onto Huss to deny the EMP? What did that do to the flow of the game? That's
just an incredible amount of awareness from Fisher, and stifling an ultimate. The big problem with that is that Australia is sort of baited into an engagement. They think the EMP is coming and they're going to jump in to capitalize on it, but when it doesn't come, they're jumping into their own deaths. Denmark going back to what worked before. Shax on the McCree. I like this decision making. Put a little bit more pressure on Huss, make him a little bit more scared to decloak in the backline.
And the McCree can definitely work better here too, where it's a little bit better. It's not quite spread out. You're not going to have the fall off problems that you do have on City Center.
Exactly, Shaq's able to get close range where he wants to be, but a Kraken farming up no charge. A Fisher, great sleep by a Kraken, picking off Fisher there.
Now they don't have to worry about the Brigida. Denmark already in a bit of a hole, but they have the capture progress as Trill goes down, immediately punished, but Shax was the target of the dive. They got where they're looking for it. Denmark, though, still being relatively resilient. They get the rest back up to Shax, and this is where McCree can thrive. A fight where numbers are down, a fight where the McCree can just land shot after shot. gets the D-Mech. Ding gonna pile on. Shax gets the finisher, and Denmark swings the fight.
Nice positioning by Shax and Kelix. Even though Shax does go down to that dive, Denmark gets the quick punish, taking down Trill, and Kelix is able to res Shax, get him right back into the fight. This is the strength of the Mercy. If you're going to dive a Mercy team, you need to be taking down that Mercy or winning the fight outright, because if that res comes out, you're basically playing a 7v6.
Denmark now in control of the point, about 18%. Australia, Nano Boost is ready, and you gotta believe that's gonna be head in the Trill. That has been their go-to play for every initiation here so far. Now, we look towards Trill. No, out CKM. He gets a Nano Boost instead. They go for the Nano Blade. Trill already gets Fisher off the dive. A stun on the CKM. He's super low. Gets healed up, but can't use the rest of the blade. No! Nerf's able to find him at the very end. In Denmark, they've withstood this Nano engage, and Huss says, you know what? I'm going to drop an EP. We're going to invest even more, but that might not have been the best idea. We'll see if it works out.
Huge boot by Custa, pushing him back into the Diva Bomb of Punk, getting those kills. I thought that fight was going their way for sure, but a Kraken, another huge sleep. He's been railing those off all day long here.
A Kraken, though, is like trying to 1v4 here. The rest of his team is dead, and he's going in his full battle on it. I respect it, but it's not going to work.
Nerfed wakes up and punish him, and a huge error from CKM. He needs to know that Trance is coming out. If you use the dash to close the gap, you won't be able to burst 200 HP characters through the Transcendence. CKM needs to play smarter with those Dragon Blades. You have to save the combo to one-shot that Mercy, one-shot that McCree, or else you're just getting nothing through that Transcendence of Ding.
Meanwhile, you take a look at Huss right now in the back line. No, not really close to being
and there's the flashback we were talking about. Huss not able to get the initiation he wants and so low on that EMP charge. This is going to be a massive reset for Australia.
Nerf might be slept up here, but again, doesn't really matter. Denmark is more than able to cover them here. In Australia, they're down to their final fight with nothing on the progress bar just yet.
And the rally so difficult to deal with the composition Team Australia is running. That armor is so effective against those small pieces of damage and the reliance on dash resets for Genji. So Fisher's rally could be absolutely crucial in this fight.
Okay, we see the engage coming in from Australia. They open up with the sound barrier. Denmark going back just a bit. Deadeye up here from Shax again. Oh, he almost got the Winston. That was so close. That would have been a big swing. But still going to get the D-Mac. Still getting protected. Denmark playing around Shax and enabling him right now. And now that the fight is getting a little bit more developed, it's going even better for Denmark. Australia down to the final few members. They can't keep it a contest. And Denmark gets map number 1.
Great plays from Denmark there, understanding the strengths of their composition and playing to them. That's just clinical McCree play there. Keep him alive, res him if he goes down, and just keep that fight going, and Shax making it work, finding those kills. Great plays all around from Team Denmark. They certainly deserved that win. That just felt like a composition victory. It felt like they had Australia outstratted. Australia with no answers to the Brigida and the McCree. Too many stunts for Huss to do his normal somber things.
So I have to ask you here, is that what makes a McCree comp work? Because there's so many times where we see teams run McCree comp similar to this, and even if the same composition, the play style isn't there, and yet this was quite effective. What was different coming out from Denmark here?
One of the strengths of McCree is that he's the most glass cannon, I would say, of any DPS in Overwatch. Very low survivability. His only movement is the combat roll, which of course you also want to be using for DPS to get that instant reload. The flashbang, not the best defensive ability if a diva's in your face. You really rely on your teammates to be protected. So I think McCree shines most when he's the only DPS on the team. When you can just pour all of your resources into the McCree, turn him into this superpower. You know, his biggest weakness is that glass cannon effect. You know, he's easy to take down by a quick dive. But if you protect him, you armor him up with the Brigida, pocket him, res him with the Mercy, and let him to target Discords by Zenyatta, that's an incredibly powerful character you're dealing with. If he doesn't go down, he's going to be putting out more DPS than almost any other character in the same situation.
So what we're getting here is that a selfish McCree who demands all the support from his team and just said, give me all the gifts, give me everything you have. It's a good McCree.
Yeah, and at the same time, though, you don't want to be playing McCree if you're not going to run that kind of composition. If you have more DPS in your lineup, McCree is going to really struggle if those resources are forced to be split, as they must be if you're going to run other characters like Widowmaker, Genji, you know, other sort of resource hog DPS. McCree really needs them all, so it's going to be those compositions that highlight McCree's strengths the most.
So, speaking of maps, something that could be playing into running McCree now, let's take a look at what the next map is going to be. We got Nambani heading here, and this is a little bit wide open. This actually is not necessarily McCree's cup of tea.
Yeah, McCree not doing so well in Nambani. A little too much verticality for McCree's taste. But if you haven't seen a hybrid map before, let's jump right into the map explainer video. You can see how it all works.
This is hybrid. Two teams face off as either defenders or attackers. The attacking team has a limited amount of time to first capture a payload and then escort it along a set path containing 2 checkpoints. To capture the payload, the attackers need to stand within its range for a set amount of time. defenders can delay capture progress by also standing in range. The attackers must work together to clear away the defenders. If successful, they score 1 point and gain additional time on the clock. The payload only moves forward when an attacker stands near it. Defenders can delay the payload's movement by standing nearby. To get moving again, the attackers must clear away the defenders by force. If even one attacker is capturing the objective or on the payload when the time runs out, the game enters overtime. This extends play indefinitely until the attackers are either cleared away or they gain more time by reaching a checkpoint. Every time the payload reaches a checkpoint, the attackers score 1 point and gain additional time on the clock. The round ends when the payload reaches the destination or when time runs out. Teams switch sides each round. Whichever team scores the most points and escorts the payload farthest wins.
And that's how hybrid maps are played, but we're not Nike involved this time around. We're heading to Numbani, a little bit more wide open, and a map that really relies on your first and third point defenses.
Exactly. Second point, so hard to hold here on the defense. That capture point all the way out in the open. It's very difficult for tanks to contest it, but at the same time, first is very holdable. I mean, of all hybrid maps, Numbani is perhaps one of the best for those full hold potential. So Australia looking to set up for that. The Soldier 76 and the Fari here. This is a very, very greedy defense from Australia. But if they can start to get that tac visor online, get that barrage online, that's a lot of threats for Denmark to be worrying about.
So I kind of want to loop this into the narrative you're talking about in regards to supports getting on your DPS. It kind of feels like Huss is going to be more freelancing here because Zafara is also one of the greediest DPS you can get in terms of just demanding support from your team.
Yeah, and the Soldier doing a little bit better on Numbani. If you are knocked off the high ground, at least you have that sprint ability, lets you wrap around the backside and get up to high ground again a little bit quicker than McCree. Actually, a lot of bit quicker than McCree. But we see a little bit of a role reversal compositionally here. Denmark going with exactly the comp that Australia was playing, and Australia also making the switch over to the Soldier 76.
And of course, we'll get to see Fisher on his signature Genji. Shax moving over to the Sombra. And Denmark right now, they might be content to go straight up the gut here.
Yeah, Fisher's going to have a little bit of struggle, though. A lot of heals on the side of Australia. A Bionade and a heal station from Soldier 76 is a very large amount of heals to get through. So it's going to be on Denmark to have a really well-coordinated dive here.
And I do wonder where Shax is because, of course, this is the front line. And we see Shax, I think, just rotating over to the right. They're waiting for him to get in position before they really dive on in. But now he's in tanks, being more aggressive, trying to get a foothold here on the high ground. But they don't like what they see just yet. But now they're going to move in. They wait for it. They're going for the auto. They get it down. Great poke coming in. Fisher falls, but might have been very worth for Denmark.
Fisher committing hard, but both supports falling for Team Australia. They have no sustain left. CKM, you can see him on 10 HP here, not able to refight, not able to get healed. And this is going to be point A, it looks like, for Team Denmark.
And that was smooth from Denmark, where they didn't immediately dive in. They waited, they bided their time. What was the decision-making going in there?
That's a clinical dive from Team Denmark. If you commit your damage abilities, like your Winston's Leap and your Genji's Dash, but the enemy just drops off the high ground as you do so, it's very difficult to follow up those kills. But Denmark waiting for that crucial moment when the Ana is still in the air. That's where she can't bionade herself. There's no wall to pop the nade on, so she has no self-save. It's great timing for Fisher.
Are you going to tell me that a 65-year-old woman past her prime is not going to be that mobile in the air? I don't believe you. But now we're getting to the next fight. CKM holding on to the barrage. Going a little bit. But is he able to heal back up? Denmark wasn't able to finish off the D-Mech there. So as a result, Australia can re-engage her. They're going to do just that. Nano boost coming in the drill. Get Sting immediately. Primal Rage of Reserve, and CKM strikes in the back. Gets the double barrage. Nice retreat and re-engage by Australia.
Great defensive use of the barrage there from CKM. Waits for Fisher's Dragon Blade and Nerf's jump in and immediately punishes them. We're going to see Fisher make the swap onto the McCree. I like this in this situation. You need some answer to the Pharah. She's all the way up in the skybox. Even though this isn't her best map, you need some sort of hit scan answer to that, and McCree is going to do just that.
Why the McCree over the Widow here?
The Widow is really going to struggle this patch. I mean, it's so easy to just get in her face, especially in this situation. But a huge EMP, Custom can't fly, caught on the low ground.
EMP setting up Denmark here, and they move in with the Sound Barrier to boot. It's a double wombo for Denmark, and they use it to get 3 early kills, but Trill getting some room back on the other side. About to pick off the third. Australia off the tank play of Trill here, gets a good amount of room, but Denmark are going to have the respawn advantage because you think about Numbani, they have to respawn very far back from its defenders.
Nerf backing into spawn, gonna feed all of that nano boost charge up to Ding. He's gonna be fully ready for a nano boost. Kellex making this very intelligent swap onto the Mercy, and CKM is gonna be forced off the Pharah in response to this. The damage use McCree is just too much to deal with on this enclosed spaces of Numbani second.
Well, you take a look at Denmark right now. You got the nano boost up here for Ding. We'll see just who he puts it on. Ooh, Sombra in the back. Forces out the Bionade. That's worth.
Ooh, and saving Shax there with the nano boost. He's going to go back and try to fight Trill, but Trill just backing out of this, gets the nano force, and Shax is going to be looking for something, anything here, but everyone's just debating him. But a huge hack on the Punk forces the counter nano boost. Fisher's high noon getting a lot of value, though.
Fisher is able to get the Deadeye EMP, though, getting dropped into the back. This has been a sloppy start to the fight, but still might work out for Denmark here because of the advantage here on second. Fisher now in cleanup mode with how this start. This is where McCree can shine. Ooh, reflects a flashbang back into himself, but it's not going to matter. Shax making the Sombra do work in the backhand side.
And that's right there, the power of this Mercy McCree combo. The damage boost, so important in getting these new kill thresholds. Of course, McCree requiring multiple headshots to get kills at long range. Without the Mercy, giving him that damage boost really changes things. He only needs maybe one headshot, one body shot at medium long range. So that's a major difference there. And on top of that, able to res him when he gets focused down.
Denmark, for now, just idly going in through the last part of the third point. CKM falls down pretty early here, and this is really difficult here for the attackers. You don't want the defenders to choke you off. You see Huss coming at the MP. No, he gets hacked before he gets a chance, but he's able to take the Sombra v Sombra. Under pressure, falls. Denmark, though, they haven't been able to dislodge his front tank line here just yet.
Valkyrie online though, Trill getting in McCree's space, doesn't want to let him get those free shots off. He does have the primal rage, so he's not scared of that damage McCree brings to bear.
Well, you got Fisher here, Deadeye up and ready, and Denmark, they've been powering through here. Australia's been on the back end for a while. Oh, what a sleep! We saw a lot of that yesterday, see more of it now. Huss drops TP on the payload, and here comes CKM, looking to take well advantage. Gets 2 here so far, gonna make it 3. Fisher falls, and it's well executed coming in for Australia. Oh, well, a little bit of embarrassment towards the end. Kellex got his man.
Kellex with the blaster takes down CKM. That's actually a crucial pick here. CKM is not going to be up while Denmark returns from spawn. That's going to deny him maybe 20-30% Dragon Blade charge that he could farm on those returning spawners. So big pick coming out of Kellex there, wielding that Mercy pistol to great effectiveness.
So Australia, they've been able to reestablish here on the defense. Denmark looking for a way through.
At the same time though, Australia, 2 tank ults, 2 support ults. This is going to be very tough to break. Nabani last, another point that's very difficult to take on the offense.
Once more we see Trill going at the nano boost. Primal Rage in reserve. Dig, dove on it, taken out immediately. You're going to see the Primal Rage get invested, but checks. Drops EMP. They use EMP to focus on the Primal Raging Winston. They take down Trill. Denmark down only 1, still has some options here in this fight.
Ooh, nice invis break there from Shax. Good awareness of what the enemy Sombra wants to do, and she's going to get caught out. Nice play from Shax.
Just shoots down the course, says, you know what, I think the Sombra's going to be here. Guess is right. And this leads Denmark now to a lot of momentum. They're able to put Australia back in check.
Certainly here, Australia, though, with the Transcendence, going to have an opportunity to stabilize.
Transcendence coming out here from Australia. They need to get something with it early, and oh boy, Zed almost getting knocked off to the other side. Able to avoid it. Self-destruct coming in from the Diva here. And Denmark picks up 3. The big front line of Denmark striking, and they're able to push it on through. That is not something you always see on the Bonnie.
The tank ult's getting so much more value for the side of Team Denmark. That's a great closing out to the offense on Nambani. This is a really impressive pace, and if you're Australia, you're certainly feeling the pressure. It doesn't if you have any answers to this McCree. And as well, Denmark showing their flexibility. They're not limited to that McCree. Even though they get through the second point with it, Fisher's just as comfortable playing that Genji on first and third with those combo plays.
And also, it's kind of redemption here for Fisher, where I think Fisher had kind of a rough season in the last season at Contenders, but he's been looking good here so far. Very flexible, very solid, regardless of what he's been playing. And, you know, going into this, we knew that Denmark had quite a bit of potential, and so far, they looked good on the first map, and they've certainly looked good here on Nambani.
It's not over yet, though. It is possible to do a much faster time, but Australia going to be certainly feeling the pressure here. CKM going to very likely make the swap back to the Genji. It really feels like he's been limited to that Genji and Pharah so far here in the World Cup, and it seems that Denmark's aware of that, and they're playing around it really well. Great defensive comps, employing the Mercy to great effectiveness. If you're relying on those Sombra, Winston, Genji pickoffs in the backline, the Mercy can really mess you up. If you're committing a lot of abilities, getting a kill, you're forced to retreat back to your team, they get rezzed up, and they go right back in, and you don't have the ultimates to answer it anymore.
And I think one thing that you touch on here too is that Australia, you take a look at CKM, he has been very good in the roles he's been in, but Denmark, they have the versatility to kind of punish it, where you even go back to the first map, right, where they were coming out the McCree immediately, where that's not always the pick you go to, but if you know with about 90% certainty you're going to be going against Safara, you can game plan around it. They also saw how effective Huss was being in day one in terms of just Sombra harassment, and what do? They consistently put Huss in very difficult situations. stuns.
Yeah, adding stuns to your composition. You know, Sombra really relies on being able to decloak in the backline in those early fights, not to get kills, but really just to build up that EMP, lay into the backline, just shoot the tanks and just get that EMP chart going. But when you're playing against characters like Ana and McCree, doing so risks your life. So Huss is going to have many fewer EMPs to work with you.
What do you think about the defensive tracer that Denmark's rolling out here with?
This is one of the places where Tracer has always been effective and probably always will be. You're always going to get the opportunity to flank the backline, put pressure on the Ana, and even if he can't get the kill, even if he just forces Custa away from CCam, that could just make an opportunity for Fisher and Danny to pick off CCam.
You see Shax right now, he's actually playing pretty far back. He's not going for the backline flank here just yet. He's a little bit more in the back end. Now, CCam moving in on the Pharah, gets the knockoff, gets both tanks off the high ground. Australia again, very particular high ground, but Shax was able to punish us on the Tracer there, and we got a pause. But that fight was looking pretty darn good for Denmark.
Denmark, yeah, just clean up at this point. We can see CKM's health dropping so low. Going to go down to that Winston almost immediately after the pause, so not going to be too impactful of a pause there. For either team. I mean, that's just clinical play from Team Denmark. Great pick by Shax. I think he must have been waiting for a Sombra translocator right there. I mean, with how quickly that pick came in the fight, I think what they were doing was Shax snuck behind, waits for that translocator, and calls his team, you know, force the TP, force the TP. And when you're just camping, it's an easy pick off when she teleports in. She's not going to be ready for a one-click.
So as you described that in dealing with Sombras, do you think the teams have actually gotten better at adapting to the new Sombra, where it's a little bit more predictable as to what she's going to do, where before teams didn't really play against Sombra because she wasn't permanent Viz. You had better ways of tracking her down, but now it feels like there's more of a meta game. And all right, how do you punish Sombra when she's doing these tactics?
I mean, I think the importance of the translocator has really just been emphasized by the new kit. With the perma invis, sometimes you don't even place a defensive translocator. You want to just use it for aggressive mobility and not employ it while you're going invis. So that's a high risk, high reward play. You'll have the translocator if you need to chase down a low HP frag, but at the same time, you could be punished by not having that instant escape.
Absolutely. Well, guys, while we're waiting for things to resume here, let's take a look at some of what has transpired here so far. Back to game one. We're getting all the way back to control. Let's see what was going on here, because it was a very close map. Yeah,
a lot of big plays from both sides, and a Kraken. I mean, just so many sleeps, man. It feels like a Kraken is just the king of Winston sleeps. Doesn't seem like anybody can land on him.
Yeah, I mean, the Ana play so far here in the Overwatch World Cup has been great, and I think to a lot of people, a breath of fresh air, where Ana has been out of the meta for a while, right? And now suddenly she's getting played a lot. You're seeing Winston's taking naps at an alarming rate. Winston's, Genji's, they've been the prime offenders.
Sleeping on the job. It's sad to see, but certainly Ana is going to be happy about that. All those Ana players out there love to make those big plays, sleep darts, bionades. So much fun to play and to watch.
So going so far here, have you been impressed with the versatility from Denmark that we've seen? Because it actually feels like they've stepped things up today, even compared to just a day ago.
Certainly, and one thing I want to highlight for their DPS players is that one thing that you expect a lot about a 2 DPS combo when you're running that 2-2-2 setup, you're going to want to have usually one projectile focus player, one hit scan focus player. But here we see Shax on the McCree. This high noon zoning absolutely everybody and still gets one. Oh, and puts a ton of damage on Trill there. Great timing from the high noon shot.
And every replay here, Shax, he knows just the group of bodies around him. It really is protect the president, as you were saying before. It's like, here's McCree. Here's all his buddies.
What a bash there. Great awareness from Fisher. Knows that EMP is coming in. Here we see CKM. Oh, and great awareness, knows where that Genji wants to go, shuts him down with the barrage.
That was a really, really nice barrage there where you think, okay, I'm going with the Nano Blade, everything's going to be fine. It's like, oh, I forgot to look up. Always look up before you do that. You never know I'll be there. Might be a fire with rockets.
Yeah, certainly. And to finish my earlier thought there, one of the things I was going to highlight about Denmark's DPS roster was that with 2 players comfortable on the hit scan, you see a lot more flexibility for Denmark.
So we're back in here, and one of the things I did want to ask you here is that when you get paused like that, how does it affect you as a player? I mean, I think a fight like this doesn't matter, but what if the fight was closer?
When the fight's closer, it's hard to say who it benefits, because both teams are going to get the opportunity to talk things over and say, you know, something that you might not be able to do without the pause, which is, I'm really low HP, I need you to turn around and save me right when the pause ends, and allows you to do things that wouldn't be normally possible in a real-time game, but in this case doesn't seem to have any impact at all. A Kraken, though, forced to go to the Brigitte. This Tracer and Sombra are really going to have trouble with the Brigitte stun. It's really going to limit their game plan, but at the same time, it's going to put even more pressure on CKM to produce. He doesn't have the nano boost to protect him.
Definitely change how Shax is going to have to approach this here, and you already look at the space that Fish is getting, but was looking for the hack of the Brigitte, definitely challenging all the while, keeping the Brigitte in check. CKM, though, over on top of the point. Australia moving their forces directly on the payload, forcing Denmark to put some bodies in play, but they get Custa. They're able to flank around. the damage of Denmark does their job. TKM drops a barrage, but it's too little, too late. He's immediately taken down.
Very questionable commitment of that ultimate. Things already look really grim for Team Australia with Custa falling so early, so CKM may be feeling the pressure of the pause just a little bit there. And a nice delay onto Punk there from Ding. Great plays from Denmark. Fisher coming up on another EMP, but Husk has a 25% lead on that ultimate charge. If he can slip in there, pop that EMP early, potentially shutting down Nerf's Primal Rage could be huge.
Huss, he's definitely been working under pressure the entire time, but he has been one to get good EMP, so this has to be the time. As we hear all the highest band, no! I think Shax might have just gotten booped off. That was the sound of a Tracer falling and falling some more. Here comes Huss, off the flank, holding the EMP, but now you've got two down. You might not even have to use it.
Takes down the Translocator and the Sombra. That initial pick from CKM having so much impact here with no Tracer to punish the backline. Custa is free to heal as he pleases though. Nerf coming back with the Primal Race, but hack, no legs, no jumps.
And this is so good for Huss, where Huss was going, it's like, all right, I'm gonna be ready to EMP. Wait, what do you mean that you booped the Tracer off to her death? What do you mean that we got another pick off? I guess this is fine. I'm gonna hold on to it all. We're gonna get the point for free.
And at this point, Denmark just looking for a few seconds of stall. Australia wants to punish that, looking to get deep, potentially chase down this Lucio, but it seems like he might be a little too elusive here, meeting up with his spawners from Team Denmark.
Okay, Huss holding on to EMP, and wow, just really going out here and just being careful about his Translocator spot. Not really too easy to find that one there.
Yeah, no one's really going to be checking a spawn like that away from health packs. That's not what you expect from a Sombra, but nice unpredictable play from Huss. Trying to get a lot of scouting value here. Changes his mind, puts the Translocator behind Denmark. They're not going to be expecting this either. Setting up for a huge EMP who finds 4.
Gets everyone he wants and more. Trill diving right on in, but he did get the Lucio. The Lucio able to sound barrier right after. Keeps Denmark in the fight. Australia getting this turned right around. They do invest a rally of their own, but it's not decisive. The nano boosted Winston for Denmark, making so much space right out, but oh, Australia, they do strike on the other end. They are able to turn the fight back in their favor, but man, was it close.
Great experience showing there from Kelix. Knows the EMP is coming out, hides in the corner, comes out with the beat drop, but at the same time, Trill is already aware of that level of counterplay. He drops the bubble right in the middle of the fight, and we see 2 to 3 players from Team Denmark not receiving that beat drop, able to be picked off, and Australia starting the snowball once again.
Australia now real close to getting point B, and this is a difficult decision to defend point B here, Jake, but it looks like they're gonna go for it.
I think with 2 tank ults, you absolutely go for this every single time, especially with the swap to the Brigitte. So effective in these final cart stall situations.
See just what happens here. Denmark, of course, they need Nerf to get the Primal Rage. 5%, but sometimes that can be elusive here, but he's gonna get it. Gets CKM for good measure as well. Has not had to use the Primal here yet. Chunked down to about half HP. Would like to hold it if he could. Shax on the ground here in McCree. Not on the protective high ground, but certainly protected by his team. Gonna use the Deadeye, makes for a little bit of room, but Australia, they just go in, they burn the Transcendence, they dive on in, but Denmark able to deal with it quite well.
Great movement from the backline of Team Denmark, hiding that aggression perfectly. The bomb's gonna find Ding, but everyone else is falling in the front line. Fisher right in everybody's face. They don't need that Zenyatta heal with the triple healer setup, gives them a lot more flexibility to get aggressive, and this is just an easy cleanup for Team Denmark.
And also a rare defense on point B Numbani. Again, you don't see teams do that all that often, but Denmark's making it look easy with some great disengages before re-engaging.
Denmark potentially over the hump here with so many ultimates to work with. Things are looking really grim for Australia. They're going to be basically all in on this Nano Blade, but Ding coming up in his Transcendence very, very quickly. And with the armor stack from Fisher, even the one-shots through Transcendence won't be possible anymore.
Australia backs against the wall here. Maybe about 2 attempts left in the tank. Denmark off the rally, looking to be a little bit more aggressive, but look at the room that Shax has right now. Australia not in a great spot to get on it, but they do get the D-Max. So Shax, he's protected, but he's not really in the fight. Speaking of being in the fight though, here comes CKS. Gets the nano boost, but he's just nowhere near the action. Sees the Transcendence, says, know what? I don't want any part of that.
Another whiff from CKM, finding nothing with those 2 ultimates. That's going to be very, very costly. Denmark without Valkyrie online. Australia's going to be forced to retreat, but Huss, huge EMP, finds a lot.
Drops EMP, but Shax the immediate punish. Huss had to give his life for it. CKM though, making it worthwhile. 2 down for Denmark, but Shax looking for the pickoffs here. Rotating around, had the dodge, but couldn't dodge enough. Custa grabs him, and Australia brute forcing their way through onto the point.
EMP looks like enough to close out second, but Australia already with a time-based disadvantage. They need to get through third point very, very quickly. If this goes down to an overtime scenario, the best they could do is a tie. So Australia looking to win a couple decisive fights here. Denmark, of course, looking to shut that down. This self-destruct could be crucial here. If Trill misuses his bubble, that's really their only defense from the self-destruct.
We'll see just how this works. Denmark, if they could get this next fight, it would make things nearly impossible for Australia. Self-destruct, highly aggressive, goes in, forces out the Transcendence. That's real big for Denmark. Australia, off the Transcendence, they do go in, but it's not as decisive as they would like. And part of that is because Transcendence was used so early.
Getting a lot of value here is Team Denmark, but Australia with a lot of presence on the point. CKM coming up on another Nanoblade combo, a Kraken 10% away from being ready. Looks like Australia wants to back up, reset, get all their tanks ready for a full commitment here. But ding, 90% on that Transcendence, extremely close to being prepared for the Genji.
This is a really tough window, but I think the problem for CKM is Ding's going to get it. 99%, Transcendence just about up. He's going to have a response to CKM.
And with the rally right now, it's tough for Australia to even pressure the car, to even put that damage out. Trying to hack. Oh, gets the hack on Fisher. That's crucial. There's no stun. They could make a play with this.
Huss is looking for the MP right now. That's one way to stop the Transcendence before it begins. Now, looping around. This is going to be not even really settled. He's just going to go for the quick EMP. Goes in, immediately around the corner. Nanoblade in. Australia all in on this fight because they got to be. CKM gets one. Under pressure. Pushed on back. He only gets one. Australia. Late Transcendence coming in from Costa here. They want to make this a thing, but Denmark, they've survived quite well. Shax. Oh, Danny gets two. Both supports down for Australia.
Massive combination from the tanks of Denmark. Danny dropping the self-destruct and Nerf with the Primal Rage, forcing those supports right back into LOS. That's not where they want to be. Denmark looking to hold strong here with the Valkyrie. Basically nothing left in the tank for Australia. They have a self-destruct with Punk so low, so pressured. He's not going to be able to get the angle he wants. Will Australia even be able to touch here?
They are able to touch it. Devo is able to get in on the back, but Punk can't rematch. Shax with the immediate punish. 3 clean-up kills coming in from Shax. A McCree for the ages here in Bangkok as Denmark goes up 2-0.
Denmark is going to be feeling very good about their progress so far in this series. You can see the emotion on their face. They're feeling themselves. Great team play, great awareness from the EMPs. We saw Huss getting so much value against other teams. Denmark completely shutting it down, it seems.
Yeah, Denmark, again, they've just been looking very improved even compared to day one, where Australia, they looked like they were having clean engages, but the response from Denmark was so calculated. They were very easily retreating out of danger and then re-engaging when they had the advantage. It was textbook, solid, composed Overwatch.
And great counting of the EMP. Normally with that EMP, you really want to find those Lucios, those Zenyatas. With their defensive support ults, those are the perfect answer to an EMP. That Transcendence is going to swing out from a corner and immediately save the team from an incoming Dragon Blade. At the same time, Beat Drop can do much the same thing. Trill doing a nice job with that bubble. The only reason CKM was able to find a kill at all with that Dragon Blade was because of Trill's bubble, breaking the LOS of Transcendence, denying the heals to the Mercy, and allowing CKM to find that kill.
Well, there's been great play on both sides here. I don't think Australia's have it yet, but if you want to find out, join us after the break. Map 3 coming at you then.
World Cup is brought to you by Omened by HP, the official PC of the Overwatch World Cup, and by T-Mobile, America's fastest network ever.
Hey, Doa, thanks for the ride.
No problem.
I've got something you've got to hear. This car has a pretty good sound system, right?
Yeah, the best.
Excellent. Because we're going to need to hear the whole range to really appreciate this. It's a thing of beauty. You ready?
I am as ready as I'll ever be.
This is Monte Cristo, and today we're going to take a look at a strategic breakdown of the latest match between the Los Angeles Gladiators and the Seoul Dynasty.
Of all
right off the bat, we're going to get a couple of environmental kills. But
oh, I hear it. I feel like I've heard this one before.
It's like honey dripping into your ears, all of the treble and the bass working together in perfect harmony.
Oh, it's a thing of beauty.
It's like an ancient Norse deity decided to open his mouth and... You just don't appreciate art.
That's it. That is definitely it.
Shamelessly original, the Toyota CHR. Toyota, let's go places.
We're back here in Bangkok as Denmark up 2-0 over Australia, trying to be one of the teams to get to BlizzCon later this year.
Looking really strong is Team Denmark, able to play a lot of different compositions here, potentially showing very good strengths for future matchups. I mean, it doesn't seem that they're limited by compositions in a way that a lot of teams are really trying to play their strengths. It seems like Denmark's strengths are whatever they feel like is best in the moment.
Yeah, and I mean, we've seen versatility from them where they can play more traditional, or they can do things like bust out a really good McCree comp, which I gotta tell you, a lot of teams, even at the contenders level, can't really do. So to see Denmark being this versatile here has been really cool to see.
Yeah, and at the same time, Australia has been really punished for their over-reliance on Pharah. CKM's Dragon Blades finding very, very little, honestly, on Nimbani, a map that is traditionally one of Genji's best positions. So CKM's going to need to turn things around as we go into this assault map.
Well, let's take a look at what the next map will be. Maybe it'll be a little bit more Genji-friendly for CKM, let him get his groove back, and it's going to be Anubis, so this has been a very good map for Genjis here this weekend.
Yeah, historically, this is one of the best Genji maps, but if you haven't seen an assault map before, here's how it all works.
This is Assault. Two teams face off as either defenders or attackers. The attacking team has a limited amount of time to capture two objectives. First A, and then B. To capture an objective, the attackers need to stand within its range for a set amount of time. Defenders can delay capture progress by also standing in range. To resume capture, the attackers must force the defenders off the objective by any means necessary. If successful, they score 1 point and gain additional time on the clock. Now the fight moves to objective B. If even one attacker is on an objective when the clock runs out, the game enters overtime. This extends play indefinitely until either team is cleared away. The round ends when the attackers capture both objectives, or when time runs out. Teams switch sides each round. Whichever team scores the most points wins.
You know, I feel like there's a little bit of lore in that explanation video. You see Genji just going in there. I don't know if he would be quite as BM as he was there, but you know what? I can dig it.
Sometimes you gotta let your brother know you are the superior Shimada, and certainly on Temple of Anubis, Genji is the superior Shimada. We won't expect to see much Hanzo here. This is a much more Genji-favored map with all these high ground flanks, those sneaky windows you can climb through. This is really Genji's playground. Up to him to just surround and decide how to play the fight.
So we do have a swap up here on Australia, which, you know, is common to see on there. No, I'm not talking about the Symmetra. That's just to get the Orisa on high ground where, you know, you have some thoughts on that. I'll give you a second to go on that. But we do have CKM going to the Junkrat.
Yeah, I like the composition that Australia is bringing to bear here. Of course, this Orisa Junkrat so devastating on Anubis. If you can get 1 or 2 picks, sometimes fights just completely crumble and you can get minutes off the clock. But at the same time, I actually don't like this passive high ground defense setup. I think the strength of the Junkrat in this map is playing as close to that forward choke as possible. That's maximum splash damage, maximum mine pressure. We'll see if Denmark can capitalize from this more defensive position from Team Australia. But at the same time, running the Brigitte and the Ana, it's going to be very difficult to attack either side. If you go on the Brigitte and the Ana, the D.Va is going to come save them. But if you go on the Orisa and her DPS counterparts, they're going to get saved by armor packs and bionades.
So we'll see just how this engage plays out. But for now, Husk could feel pretty comfortable behind the Brigitte on the back line. But to your point is that Denmark, they're going to be able to very easily get through the archway, not contested at all.
Denmark, though, on a single healer setup, going to rely on Ding to get a lot of value with that Widowmaker, potentially forcing Husk to constantly watch the choke.
Fisher was under pressure there. He did hit the Widowmine even though to get the trap, and because of that, Punk was able to chase him down. So the Widowmine positioning from Widowmine positioning from Huss really working out there.
Yeah, Australia getting a lot of value out of that trap. Gonna force a reset out of Team Denmark, but with this passive position, you're not able to evict the tanks of Denmark out of the flank. They're able to stay in their setup, and they're really just waiting for Genji, so not as much value as you could possibly get out of a pick on Temple of Anubis.
Australia not really altering their defensive position at all. Whew, Shax almost getting picked up there. Meanwhile, see Danny getting demeched. And Australia, they're just being very composed here on the point. Denmark doesn't really have the code to crack this just yet.
Yeah, confident in their positions is Team Australia, and so far it's working out really well for them. Ding finding almost no damage on this Widowmaker, pretty much just passive ult building here. And Huss, close to this Infrasight, could shut down another offense from Team Denmark. But Denmark, it looks like finally getting that Tracer successfully to the high ground, potentially setting up a flank on the Brigitte.
So now this is full-on dive from Denmark, going straight for the high ground, but Australia had the answer. They punish her immediately, but they let him get res. Still, Huss able to get on Ding. CKM under pressure, 17 HP, and yet still alive. Denmark, though, they're gonna lose Kellex. And Australia still trying to stay in there. You had the nano-boosted Orisa on the top Fisher, though. Really farming up ult charge on that right now, but under pressure, 3 HP. Is he gonna be able to get away? No,
Trill
not quite.
finishes the kill. 1 second on the dash cooldown, and not even a tick of progress for Team Denmark. Committing ults here, though, is nerfed. This is very surprising to see. They feel like they can win this fight.
I think they're a little bit misled then, because it doesn't seem to be the case as Trill dropped the bongos, the supercharger, and just lays into the Winston there. And all right, Jack's got the supercharger. Doesn't get much else. Self-destruct a little bit weird there, but Australia for now is holding their form.
Here's the struggle for Team Australia. They have no defensive support ultimates to deal with this Valk Blade that will be coming in from Fisher. It's really all on Fisher to perform here. He could really cleave up this defense from Australia.
Huss holding here on the high ground. No longer has the Orisa right with him, so he's a little bit more vulnerable to getting poked down from afar. And he's going to be really watching that right-hand side. Doesn't want to get to move on in. But now, Riptire out from CKM, going around the back end, looking for Denmark. Gonna get, no, doesn't get the DMAC. Danny's actually still okay. Meanwhile, you have Fisher with the Dragon Blade pushed on back. Wasn't able to dive in on Australia, so Australia still making the most of it here, and Danny wasn't able to recover his HP.
The nano boosted Brigitte, just too much for a Genji to get through, but the beat drop comes through from Denmark, and it doesn't look like there's any more answers left from Team Australia, though. Huss finding Kellex, that's a crucial pick, but a lot of red in the kill feed here. It looks like Denmark's going to be taking this to their spawn advantage. Oh no! Crucial kills coming in there from CKM. They can't finish off this Junkrat.
They can't kill the Orisa either. The stick, though, finally deals with the Junkrat in an explosive way to get rid of your vermin problem, I suppose. Shaxx doing what the rest of his team could not, even gets the DMAC. And oh man, this has been a struggle for Denmark. They're finally going to get to the point. Australia has bought a lot of time.
Great awareness from Denmark, believing they could win that fight. I didn't think they could, but finally with the spawn advantage, able to trade enough kills that they're able to take point A. But 3.5 minutes off the clock, Team Australia is going to be happy with that defense. If they can stabilize for even one fight here on second point, their time is going to be looking really good. Denmark making a full swap, even giving up their Primal Rage. They really favor this 3-3 composition.
Denmark setting up here, and yeah, I mean, this is a classic, so to speak, the ye old goats-esque style. And we'll see just how it works. They're going to immediately go into the left-hand side, and when you're going this sort of gameplay, what you do is that you try and be full HP when you get to the point.
Here's the problem though, CKM so late to switch on the Junkrat. Everybody is full HP for the side of Team Denmark. Almost no damage really coming in so far. At least Shaxx is left. That's going to slow down the damage coming out from Team Denmark.
Engage is on right now. Danny gonna get DMAC'd early. Australia now with options to slowly pick this apart. Once you lose one part of this sort of composition, it really starts going against you in a hurry. Denmark though, they found Huss. They've already been able to get one tick. They get 2 ticks. Australia, you gotta put bodies on the point. No longer can you wait. Here comes a tire from CKM. Needs to be a big one. And oh, it's taken down. He waited too long.
Shaxx a little bit too energized there. CKM too slow, not farming that tire in time. And now so many ultimates on the point for Team Denmark. It looks like all cleanup at this point. Nerf sitting on that shatter. Custom takes the nano boost, just doing anything he can to stay on point. But it's too much and a huge shatter. Those are the stallers. They need them to be wasting time on point. But that's it. Team Denmark, that's why you run the 3-3 comp, making it look easy there.
And that was a well-executed 3-3 where you think about the stages of your 3-3 setup. What is the first stage? Getting to the point without losing anyone. They easily went in through the middle, came around the left-hand side, healed up in the left corner, and then went in. And there was no great response from Australia. And I would say also that Riptire at the end, that could have changed things, but just CKM waited too long.
Well, he just got it right then. I mean, here's the problem for CKM. He switches over to the Genji, believing that Denmark's going to try and snowball and just keep playing their dive composition. But when they make the swap to 3-3, he's too slow to get back onto the Junkrat. The crucial moment for Junkrat is, in fact, when the enemy is in those chokes. Right when they're coming in, those initial 3 chokes of Temple of Anubis, that's your prime moment to get pigs, split the enemy team up, and start charging that Riptire. But because CKM is still in spot at that point, he's not putting out damage until Denmark's already on the point. At that point, it's really just too little too late. By the time he's got the tire, Shaxx is energized, he's got another bubble cooldown, and there's really just no tire targets left.
CKM definitely having a rougher go there, but there's always time for redemption, and you could have it here on the attack. Like we were saying in the intro, this is definitely a map where Genjis can shine, where good Genji gameplay can use the terrain to the map to get an edge on the opponents, and we'll see what CKM has in store here.
Yeah, that was very interesting offense from Team Denmark. Pretty much the opposite of what you expect to see on Temple of Anubis. Relatively quick A takes, followed by long sieges of that second point. But Denmark flipping the script, looking very, very strong on point B. That portends well for their overtime pushes. And Denmark going with a similar composition to Team Australia, but playing this forward position, getting much more aggressive into the choke. I like this decision-making a little bit more from Team Denmark.
Also, the trap, it's a classic. That's what we're going to call it here. The trap in that part of Temple Anubis for the rest of the weekend, it's a classic.
It's very difficult to clear because of the angle there, and on top of that, with the Venom Mine, anyone trying to slip through like a Sombra is still going to catch that poison and get scouted.
We'll see if someone on Australia ends up catching that trap where, again, I mean, it's a composition, but when you're under pressure, you don't always look out for it. Uh-oh, that was close to someone getting caught, but I do think they're able to clear. Fisher, though, was there, still able to get a punish.
Yeah, finds the trap. CKM's now in the flank. Only the Zenyatta or Poor Heals. He's going to be forced quickly back out to choke. Great moves by Denmark. This is the strength of holding forward. You're able, when you get those 1-2 picks, to just shove everyone out of the flanks, force them to reset all the way into spawn, rather than just resetting to the Mega.
So we do have CKM that was able to get through that first hurdle. He's through the archway right now, but he seems to be under pressure. He can't get the next hurdle for Genji, which is to get to the back line. And he's trying to fight his way through, but he's getting checked by the Diva.
See, Danny's constantly in his face, not letting him get the surround that he wants. He's going to be forced to take a suboptimal angle of initiation. And Denmark just building their ults over time here. This is really slow timing for Team Australia. They haven't really been able to get any semblance of an offense here.
And Shax isn't under any pressure at all because of the pressure that's going in on CKM. Oh, almost does get picked off just as I say that. Not quite entirely cursed him, but yeah, I cursed him a little bit. Trill able to finish the point there. Was able to get to the back line. So Denmark leading a bit here on the first point. Australia looking for a way in. CKM 70% and building. But with Husk going down, Australia might want to hold back a bit. We'll see how this works. CKM going in deeper, but I don't know if he wants to take that fight.
Fisher daring CKM to fight him, but in those close corridors, Junkrat is king, and Fisher almost with the rip tire. Australia needs to make a play quick before this tire comes out.
Self-destruct coming out here from Denmark again to make a little bit of room. But Danny just going to remake. Meanwhile, you see CKM working at 93% right now. Real close to the blade, but it's taken a while to build up. Tire up from the defense, and TKM might want to hold on to the blade here. The Tire taking it one way and gets two! Both supports. Better late than never.
Great targeting by Fisher, taking down the Ana and the Zenyatta. That's going to spell the end of the push for Team Australia, but at least this time they were able to get that fight going, build up some ultimates. Shax, feeling the pressure falling on that Widowmaker, is coming back on Tracer, but I don't even dislike this composition from Team Denmark. Shax is going to be able to force the Mercy back.
We've worked back in time, my friend.
And here we're back. Oh, when you see the Riptire here coming in for the supports. Nice wall ride there, just slipping around the corridor. Sometimes the last minute Zenyatta right click can shut those down.
All right, so looking at the live gameplay here, CKM Nano Blade gets Fisher. That's what he's looking for. Huss didn't even set it up with the EMP, but he gets rid of the Junkrat problem. The problem is that they weren't able to camp the body. The Resurrection comes back in. Fisher is back in play, and is a DPS. It's going to be up to him because Shax is down early. CKM diving in. Now, 53 HP. Denmark's, though, still holding firm. You look at their health. They're not in the bad situation here. Danny, self-destruct in reserve. He's going to use it. No!
He gets hacked. Put the trap on CKM. Uses his reflex. Fisher taking so much pressure, but nice patience. Takes down the Genji there, but Kelix falls. There's no more heals left for Team Denmark. Shax finding kill after kill, though. Somehow, Denmark is turning this fight potentially, but I think the spawn advantage for Australia will just be too much here.
The spawn advantage is going to be too much. Australia able to pummel their way through, but man, it took about just about everything that they had here. And one good defense, I guess, deserves another. This is about the same as what Australia did for their defense. We'll see if their offense will be good here as well.
Fisher being a very tough rat to eradicate. That's exactly how you want to play Junkrat. Abuse those small corridors, force enemies into your stronghold. And now CKM making the swap to the Brigida. I expect Fisher to just keep this Junkrat. I mean, there's not too many answers to the Riptire here.
I mean, really, you still want to hold the Tire here, right? There's not really a downside, even if you're deciding to swap after. Tire's a Tire, and now he's going to say fire in the hole. Let's see exactly where it goes. Going up over the top. Tire's wounded 3 HP, and down! Punk was right there. Fisher, I don't even think, saw it. So the Tire's wasted. I think Fisher might be swapping.
Yeah, he might elect to swap, but Junkrat could still get value in these situations. It looks like he's still fighting, taking a bit of damage here. It's Shax who's going to make the swap under the Brigida. Protect that Junkrat and keep him fighting.
So now you see Australia diving in deeper. They know they don't have to worry about the Tire anymore. Taking advantage of the situation. They know Denmark is low. Danny about to get D-Mech and does. Here comes Huss, going to drop the EMP. Australia going right into the spawn, but they're not able to get the pickoffs. They knock Denmark all the way back to the spawn. Denmark is still pretty healthy. They can come back out to this fight. Even as Trill uses the Primal Ray, he gets stunned. Has to back on out, but Kelix going down. Australia now getting a little bit of momentum. They
The Transcendence is coming out, but Ding's still alive back here. They can't seem to evict him from this back quarter of point. Using that bound to just keep himself in the fight. Fisher's back on the Doomfist, but it's only him contesting the points. No, the Primal Rage comes out and another sleep from a Kraken.
Oh boy, every time you think Winston is going to go wild, they end up sleeping instead. Australia getting the cleanup they need right here. They're going to drop the rally. CKM now on the Brigida, tossing out the armor. Australia at 1 tick, looking for more. Nerf though, gonna fall, and Denmark is on the ropes. Emergency Doomfist is immediately out of play.
This could be the beginning of a big turn though. Both healers for Australia down for a few moments before they come back from spawn. This is an opportunity for Denmark to get a few picks, but they're looking very staggered here on point. CKM, the only healer left, but he's keeping everybody alive.
CKM, oh, what a pin! Nerf takes him for a ride. The ride you don't want to go on. Denmark resecures the point.
Even though a Kraken found that sleep onto Nerf, it didn't seem like they realized where he went after that boop, and when he wakes up, he comes in and cleans up both supports with the support of some nice snipes from Ding. Great recontest from Denmark, managing to stabilize here on point, and now they're looking at a time bank advantage.
That was so close and back and forth, but Denmark, with their swaps, are able to get back in. And do you like staying on the Doomfist here?
Yeah, it's certainly better than Junkrat against his composition, but I worry against this Sombra. If Fisher gets caught up by a hack, he could be a major liability to his team. By the same token, you do have that stun potential, also able to shut down Huss's EMP, so it's really a high-skill matchup here.
Well, speaking of hacks, he does see the Brigida here. Huss rotating around the right-hand side, biding his time at the moment, holding on to the EMP, setting up, runs the EMP on the both supports, and immediately it's Trill, Primal Rage and ready to go, looking for the Mercy, needs just a tiny bit and gets it, the Goomba stop, 1 up for Trill, and Australia gonna be rolling right back onto the point.
The Nano Primal, just so much unblockable damage, potentially just time to delay for Team Denmark. Nice use of the self-destruct, Danny's able to remake, gonna get a lot of time off the point here. Fisher, almost with the ultimate, no, goes down to 99, can't sustain here.
I don't think Denmark's going to be able to pull a great escape this time. You do have the big charge coming in for Nerf.
Another pin on CKM. Oh, but he stays alive this time.
The Nano Boost keeps him alive there. Australia doing so well here on the point. Able to get control once more. Fisher leaping in, and that was another sleep with a very rude awakening. Australia going to set us to some extra rounds.
Australia guaranteeing themselves overtime. They're not out of this yet, but Denmark has secured themselves a pretty significant time make advantage. That's really going to come into play if both teams are capping first point. Getting that extra minute or two to formulate some second point offenses can mean the difference between a tick or nothing at all.
Ooh, man. And yeah, no, absolutely. In terms of time bank advantage, we've already seen it in key matches here in the Overwatch World Cup, where even just say 40 seconds on King's Row could be the difference between winning the match and simply losing. So there's a lot to be said for having that in your back pocket. But assault maps can be snowbally. It can be a situation where you get point A and immediately roll into point B. And certainly that, I think, is what Denmark wants to avoid most as we go into extra rounds.
Yeah, Denmark certainly hoping to just nail up a full hold here, guarantee themselves the tie, and that gives them the series win right there, given that they're already up 2-0. So Australia, the pressure's on them. They have a major disadvantage here, but can they bring it back nonetheless?
We will just have to see. Of course, Australia, a lot of hopes and dreams for this team. A lot of people think that, hey, you know, this team could upset a team like Sweden at the very least in trying to get to BlizzCon. But if you can't beat Denmark here, Australia's road would be very, very tough.
Great trap placement from Fisher. Makes a change from what he was doing in the previous round, trying to be a little bit unpredictable. That trap is targeted towards Sombras and Genjis that are wanting to sneak into the flank, and it's going to be very effective here potentially. Getting a pick with 1 minute on the clock can mean the difference between a fight or no chance at all.
Which of the two would you rather get as a Junkrat? If you had to get a Sombra or a Genji in the trap, who do you want?
Well, personally, you'd rather have the Genji just because the respawn timer is a little bit longer, and that blade is such a crucial ultimate. But Huss spammed out. He's already broken his invis, forced back. These crucial seconds matter so much in the overtime scenario.
He's also been feeding off Junkrat charge. Fisher's at 55%.
If Fisher can get a tire as quick as he's building so far, things could be looking really grim for Australia. Punk was able to take it down last time, but I think Fisher's going to be ready for it here. And on the defense first point, it's much easier to get a good tire.
So far, this has been looking really good for Fisher. He's simply oppressing Australia right now. They haven't been able to get through. They use the defensive matrix, so they lead the way. They really heavily dive on him. They know he might have a tire. They want to take him out now. But the protection for Fisher, Sublime stays alive. Denmark playing well together. They repel Australia.
Australia looking completely shut down there, diving onto Fisher, but of course the Bionade comes in instantly, and the double heal from the Mercy Ana. You just aren't getting through that without something like a Widowmaker. Punch so low, gonna be forced to recontest. Shrill running back to point. At least the Sombra's gonna be able to guarantee overtime, but the sleep!
What a great sleep! No escape for Huss that time. Australia already starting out at a 5v6, and guess what? Fisher, he's gonna play a little bit ball, but no, he's gonna bring out a tire.
Nice
Looking for anything on the thing, going to the back. Oh, I think he might have gotten the D-Mac. He did, gets punked out of the back. Denmark holding firm here on Anubis, and Australia is in all sorts of trouble because now the best they could do would be a draw, which would mean they would still lose the series. Denmark has taken it.
Yeah, Denmark getting themselves the advantage in the series, but they're not going to be satisfied yet. They want that 4-0. Map score mattering so much in this format. And here we see Shax with that Infrasight. Oh, and comboing the sleep. That is rough.
Huss has had a tough game here, and I'm not going to blame Huss. I think Huss played really well yesterday, but Denmark has been just putting up the Sombra obstacle course here for Huss, where everyone is aware of where the Sombra may be. Sombra is a priority to punish, and we've been seeing Huss get taken out over and over again as a result.
And you got to give props to Danny on that front. Of course, D.Va with no reload on her weapon, with that infinite ammo primary fire, she's able to just take a nice lineup on a map like Temple of Anubis that's so choky. And if you just constantly, mouse one, control that line, if the Sombra can't cross that, can't get through without getting her invis broken, it's really, really difficult for her to get the scouting and the hacks that she wants to get. So that perma invis doesn't matter if it's being broken by the D.Va. So great work by Danny, constantly getting in their face, not giving the dive the setups they want. And now Denmark, 3 minutes, 13 seconds. All they need to do is get one tick on this first point. Things are looking very good for them. Australia going back to this defensive high ground setup that worked so well for them last round.
And not only that, but you stop and think about, right, where the pressure has to be off for Denmark. You know that you've won the series here no matter what. So even if you don't get it, it's not the end of the world, but you do still want it.
I love this composition coming from Denmark. This is the theory-crafted counter for the Aristocomp. Of course, that Hammond just gives you that extra oomph, that extra unblockable damage that D.Va just can't respond to. So potentially this slam could be huge if it targets the right squishies.
Now, we have been seeing a little bit less Hammond here in this group stage because there is a little bit of a weird bug with him where he goes down a little bit slower than he normally does, but the overall raw power of the hero is such that you'll still see teams try him. And now we see Shax diving on in. It's a little bit slower, but it's still great. Knocks 3 people up right in the face of Orisa. Plenty of damage coming on in. Gets hit by the trap, though, so that might lead to his end as we see Fisher, bit out of the fight, healing up.
Shax able to escape with his life, luckily, but CKM might have a tough time returning back to spawn. Shax wants to go meet his teammates, going to use that shield to escape. But Fisher still in the backline, still has that setup stack he wants, but at least CKM is back now. And with the Empress, oh, Fisher attempting the spawn camp. Will he be punished?
Well, he's drawing a lot of attention to the back, which means that while you're looking at Fisher, you're not looking at the front. Nerf was able to get CKM as a result, so Denmark, they take full advantage of that distraction. Nerf just rolling on through, does get picked off. Huss, 2 here so far. Huss trying desperately to bring it back, but Shax dropped the bomb, going on in, and the swing his way back over. Australia's fighting tooth and nail, but now respawn attrition is a real thing.
Yeah, certainly for Australia, they're going to need to get some kills and quick. Their spawns are so much slower, but there, Huss finding one. Can he get another? And Punk with his self-destruct, looking to make something happen here in the enclosed spaces on point.
Huss has been the hero here so far. Key pickoffs over and over again. He's keeping Australia in this map so far. Can he get the honor? That'd be big. Needs one more shot. Going for the SMG fire, but no, couldn't get it.
Ding, fearlessly taking the duel there on 1 HP, almost taking down Huss. Great plays from the Ana here, but Denmark looking really aggressive, want to get right back into it. Fisher with the Nano Blade combo, almost ready. Ding, finishing that last second of charge.
Huss gonna get healed on up. Armor pack going on to him. Was looking for the headshot, and oh boy, you've angered 3 tanks here, Huss. What are you gonna do? Well, you're gonna go back to spawn. Shax gets his man. Fisher, blade out, looking with the dagger deep into Australia's heart here. 3 kills coming out from Denmark, and the point now coming under their control. Denmark, they weren't gonna be satisfied with the draw. They won the full 3-0.
It's all red in the kill feed. Denmark looking to take Temple of Anubis here. It's all over but the crying, and so much power on the point. They have ultimates to spare, so Denmark looking really clean on this offense. Figured out the mistakes they were making last round. Comes out with this Aristocomp. The Rip Tower comes in for a few kills, but it's just not going to be enough here on Temple of Anubis.
I mean, the Rip Tower, that was a moral victory. It's like, well, I still got 2 people, but I'm nowhere near the point.
Hey, still farming up those damage stats. That's what really matters at the end of the day. Not really. You're going to want the map wins if you're Australia.
Look, you take what you can get. At that point, you're not getting the map win, so, pad the stats a little bit. What could go wrong?
Yeah, you might as well, honestly. But you got to give it to Denmark, showing them even more versatility in their compositions. We haven't seen the Hammond out from them before, but Shaq's showing competency on that. He's been playing so many different characters here, and so has Fisher, and I think that versatility has really been one of their strengths.
Out of curiosity, do you think we would have seen the Hammond if they hadn't already won the series at that point? Do you think they would have gone with what they had opened up with? Because I do see sometimes teams try out different things when they know that it doesn't matter quite as much.
Well, one of the strengths of the Hammond in the overtime scenario is that you don't need to snowball at all. So you don't care at all about what's functional on second point because you're never getting there. All you need to do is get that first take on A. And the Hammond gives you a lot more potential to do that against the Orisa comp. One of the weaknesses of this Orisa Junkrat comp is that you're very, very static. You all group up together, and that Hammond slam can be devastating there, as we saw.
Well, let's see what map 4 is going to be. Perhaps a moral victory here for Australia if they can get it. Certainly something that they'd want good map score. So, map 4, what are you going to be? What is it going to be? And it's going to be Junkertown. And, of course, that is going to be an escort map. And if you haven't seen an escort map, you're wondering, well, what is escort? We got the map video right here for you.
This is escort. 2 teams face off as either defenders or attackers. This is the payload. The attacking team has a limited amount of time to escort the payload along a set path containing 3 checkpoints. The payload only moves forward when an attacker stands near it. Defenders can delay the payload's movement by standing nearby at the same time. To get moving again, attackers must clear away the defenders by force. Every time the payload reaches a checkpoint, the attackers score 1 point and gain additional time on the clock. If even one attacker is near the payload when the clock runs out, the game enters overtime. This extends play indefinitely until the attackers are either cleared off the payload or they gain more time by reaching a checkpoint. The round ends when the payload reaches the destination or when time runs out. Teams switch sides each round. Whichever team scores the most points and escorts the payload farthest wins.
Junkertown, even for being in the middle of nowhere and not really near too many big bodies of water, pirates are still here.
Certainly Australia taking it back to the ancestral homeland, a place that I've come to know and love as well, the Junkertown. Well, I wonder if we'll see some classic Junkrat play here on this map. It's fallen a little bit out of favor in this meta, a little bit more dive-heavy compositions coming out. So I'm wondering what we're going to see from both teams here. We haven't seen, I think, any Junkertown so far in this stage.
No, we haven't. And, of course, Junkertown, certainly a stage that is a little bit more unconventional than a lot of other maps where, we mentioned a pirate ship comp, right? That's compositions where you run something like an Orisa with a Bastion and just power your way on through. Also, historically, it's been very kind to double snipers.
Even though there's a little bit of a lore advantage here for Team Australia going to their homeland, I think this is actually going to favor Denmark. I'm kind of surprised to see this map pick coming out from Team Australia. Shax has really been king of the Widowmaker so far, it seems, and this is an insanely Widowmaker-heavy map. Australia, though, looking to change the metagame, getting very, very aggressive. This is one of the most aggressive dive compositions that you can run. They want to get right in these double snipers' face and shut them down.
This is going to have to be just an incredible performance coming out of Shax and Fisher, respectively, to deal with the pressure that's coming in. And already, well, that's a bad omen. Hustle's right there. Find Shax immediately. And I do wonder if we might see a swap.
Yeah, they're returning to spawn. Looks like they want to go with some counter tech here. Danny's taking a bit of damage, but this is a very important fight for Team Australia. The surprise working out for them, but Shax's already onto the McCree. So many stuns available for Team Denmark. Huss is going to be so scared to uncloak.
The patented Denmark, well, I was going to say we're going to protect Shax, but security detail might need to get fired. He immediately got bopped by Husta at Australia. Their aggression right now is certainly paying off.
And way too much pressure from the rest of the side of Team Australia. There's no chance for Kelix to get that res. He's just going to wait for the respawn. Denmark going to need to slow things down here, make sure they're not getting those easy initiations or those big right clicks coming out from Custa.
See Hammond going on in. Trill, the long goodbye, diving on in. Doesn't quite get anything there, but Australia, their aggression so far has been keeping Denmark a bit discombobulated, and Denmark just being slow to get on in, but they get Huss. That could be the start of something big.
CKM in the flank, but very low on this Dragon Blade charge. Wants to find a squishy target, but there really doesn't seem to be anything. So many stuns in his face. He's forced out, and without a DPS partner, he's going to really struggle to get an initiation here. I think Australia is going to go back and go for a reset. Still going to stay in the back line here potentially, but the supports are out for Australia. They might get caught here.
Yeah, no. Australia, they simply have to back out, and I gotta say so far, this has not been a good outing for CKM on this round, where for as dominant as Australia was, you gotta get more Dragon Blade charge than that.
Yes, certainly. It's going to be all on Huss with this EMP, but Shax, look at this positioning so far back. The high unit max range.
This Deadeye is going! The sleep! Shutting it down! The Deadeye was smart, the Ana was smarter! Australia making the most out of the EMP! They push Denmark back! And Trill is looking for more. He says, I'm not... This was not a great swing.
At the same time, Kellick's playing to win that fight, convinced the Valkyrie, not getting anything out of it, so Australia has stabilized quite a bit here. CKM coming up in his Dragon Blade, but the Transcendence comes out from Denmark.
Shax was under pressure, got healed back up. Australia now getting forced back, and they were able to res up Fisher. So Denmark, they're ready to apply full pressure now.
This is CKM's moment, though, coming up on the Dragon Blade, and with no Transcendence from Ding, this is a major opportunity to slice up Team Denmark. It's really going to be all on Shax and Fisher to stun the blade away.
Gotta see what CKM is going to do here. Ding under pressure from Sommer in the back. Husto almost falls from the aggression. Australia going to invest in Transcendence. CKM, so far, nowhere to be seen. Waiting for the blade. Doesn't combo with the Transcendence. And that could be a mistake. Both teams trading out. Self-destruct gets one. CKM finally pulls the blade. Looking for the three. Had a rough engagement. Still works out. Gets one. Looking for mercy. Interception. Cuts him down.
Nice body block, shutting down that Guardian Angel. Now looking for Ding is CKM, but the armor comes on him. Denmark looking to stabilize here with their double healer. Shax is going to be coming back very soon with that high noon, and the resources are crumbling a little bit for Australia. Those tanks look way overextended. Out of LOS from their Ana to Zenyatta. There's just no healers left.
Australia that's just lost way too much here. Here comes a Deadeye from downtown. Look for those happy little skulls. Gets Custa on the window side. And Denmark has almost certainly done enough here to get point A, but give it to Australia. That was a good defense.
Yeah, great retake there on first point. I think getting a little over-eager there. It almost seemed like they could have a full potential there. But Australia getting pushed back. Custa getting chased down in the spawn. That's one of the struggles of Junkertown. Spawning late can usually mean your death on second point.
You know, there's part of me that wonders why Shax is named Shax and Ding is named Ding. Ding is a great thing for what Shax is doing right now is he's going for headshot after headshot.
Just plinking away here on the McCree. So powerful when you're defended with this Mercy and the Zenyatta.
Meanwhile, Huss waiting. Gates closing behind. No escape. He's the patient Sombra is what we're seeing right now.
Yeah, he really wants to find Ding, but Ding with the Transcendence always has the potential to just react to the EMP. Of course, EMP does take time to come into effect, and Transcendence is instant. So on this land environment, it's up. Oh,
got him! He was detected, but Ding didn't hit Transcendent time, and as a result, you see Australia taking good advantage. It's a clean sweep off of the EMP from Huss, and that Sombra Zenyatta battle, so important.
I thought for sure Ding was going to make that reaction, especially after detecting the Somber in the backline, but Australia winning a crucial fight here. Danny forced to reset, and the clock is counting down for Denmark, not with the progress that they would have wanted at this point, and Australia looking very aggressive here with this composition, able to dive these close, tight chokes on second point. This is a place where McCree might start to struggle. It's very difficult to find LOSs on the targets that you really want to be focusing.
It's definitely a tough task for Shax, where I do think Australia has adapted over the course of that matchup, where they're putting better dive on Shax, even with all the protection he's getting. See the Hammond moving on in Shax, under pressure, has to back out. He loses the Brigida, but the 40 invested Transcend, so they're gonna res, they're gonna go back in, but the Transcendence was used just to stay in the fight, not with the fight.
Shax with the high noon, gonna have a hard time actually using your double support available for Australia. The Nano Blade comes in, chops down Kelly with the assistance of the Stomp.
He got stunned, but CKM gets the Brigida. You can't stop him here, this time to CKM, and off the Nano Blade, Australia sustains.
Finally, the Nano Blade that Australia were looking for there. Ding getting a little over-eager with the Transcendence. Great movements by Australia, forcing out the Transcendence without committing ultimates, and then CKM's able to come in with that Nano Blade and just sweep the floor. Denmark's going to have to change things up, goes to a more classic GT dive formulation.
You got the Genji Tracer coming on out, but they're going to be dealing with Huss here, who has another EMP, and just going to creep his way to the back line.
Huss looking very well positioned here, ready to shut down any aggressive plays from Team Denmark. Goes for the EMP on the tank. Shax is EMP'd as well. So difficult for a Tracer to play without those abilities. Now re-hacking the D.Va. Danny just has nowhere to go, no abilities left. Great team play from Team Australia using only the EMP there, I believe.
And it feels like Huss has been getting a lot more value off the EMPs here. Why is he getting more room to work with here than he did for the rest of the series?
I think it just comes from how Team Australia is playing all together. They're capitalizing on his aggressive scouting potential and really getting all the way in Denmark's Denmark's face, not letting them spread out and separate the way they were dealing with the EMP before. Denmark also forced off that McCree and that Brigitte. Those are their answers to the Sombra last time. Now with this Genji and Tracer, both characters that really, really struggle when they're hacked.
Trill moving on in, minefield up, just gonna lay it down. Area denied, as Hammond says, so that's gonna make Denmark a little bit less agile as they try and go to a point. They sent Hammond for a little bit of nap, but no, Australia, they had to force out the Transcendence round there early there. That's not good for them in winning this fight, but they do get Shax. They punish him for the aggression. CKM wins the Genji v Genji. Punk getting back onto that point. Trill diving on in. Australia still very much in this, and the self-destruct going to be trying to deal with reinforcement. Catches Kelly, and yet Denmark still in this, but here CKM dives in, wounded people in front of them, grabs two, and this blade is a good one.
It's all on Nerf, nanoed on the card. Shax is coming here to sustain though. Nerf looking very low, all alone, and the EMP comes out from Huss. That could be the end of things.
Australia, they were good on point A, even better here on point B. Fisher, a late Dragon Blade, can't even stand the payload.
Too much pressure there coming up from Team Australia. Their composition looking most effective here on Junkertown, more than it has been all series long. So maybe Australia finally getting their footing here in their ancestral homeland.
You know, I can believe it. A little bit of synergy there where it's like, yeah, bring it back to Australia. Let's go.
Yeah, I love to see it out of Australia, getting value out of that Hammond. They talked about in our interviews with them how much they like playing the Hammond, and I'm sure the change in the LAN environment where Hammond Slam just acts a little bit slower is really hurting them in this situation, but able to make it work here on Junkertown, not mattering at all, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, I think just the overall power of the Heroes kit sort of shining through there. And the reason why the Slam being a little bit slower on LAN right now and why that would be an impact is it comes down to look at all the great things Ana's been doing. Ana's can actually reaction sleep dart Hammonds when they go in right now, so it's trickier for a lot of situations.
Yeah, but for the sleeps, it's really been all a Kraken all series long, even though Australia's really struggled, not taking any maps so far. A Kraken sleeps have been on point throughout, so many props to him, really getting the most value out of this Ana returning to the meta.
And don't forget, with how close the series could be potentially between Australia and Sweden, between Denmark and, say, Sweden and China, just getting the map win here for Australia, which they are very likely to do given how their defense went, it still matters.
Yeah, way above average defense on Junkertown here. Denmark basically going to have to full hold first. Holding second point is an even more difficult task. So Denmark going to go with this classic double sniper composition that we've seen so much on these long sidelines of Junkertown. I mean, the Widow-Hanzo combo is so threatening, especially against the Sombra. That Sonic Arrow is a major utility.
Got to see how it's going to turn out here. Let me ask you this. Australia was super hyper-aggressive here. What do you think about that style of Route 66 play?
It's very interesting and innovative because it's not what you expect to see. If you're Denmark, you're coming out, you're expecting to see a mirror match Orisa composition that plays very slowly. Shax here, though, setting up in the sideline. We'll see if he's able to get value. With no Widow on the opposing side, it's really on Huss and CKM to get with their tanks and stifle these sidelines.
We'll see what Shax can see right now, of course. Australia not really being too willing to give him a whole bunch of sightlines here just yet, but a good Widow finds a way.
CKM wrapping left while Huss wraps right. This is potential for a major surround here. Huss scouting everything, calling everything, so CKM can have the perfect setup.
Huss sees everything here, certainly seems to be paying attention to the Widow, and we'll see where the hack goes at the moment. Just stalking Shax, and doesn't go for the hack, just goes for the damage, and Shax, good movement, doesn't give Huss the tracking he's looking for.
Yeah, Kellix is instantly back to save him. You're not really going to get that kill all alone with the supports right there to protect the Widowmaker, but Shax feeling the pressure a little bit is forced to take a very passive position against this dive comp. Here's the real test for Australia, though. Can you cross this incredibly long sideline of Junkertown? Many teams have tried and failed to do so with dive, so Shax has the potential to carry this fight with no opposing Widowmaker. He's free to sit whatever sideline that he wants.
They have to find a way to get the Shax without getting punished. That is the name of the game here. You see Huss setting it up, but it's a long way forward. The Widow on him, and Huss gets the pick off. That's a nice pick off coming in here from Australia, and now it's back and forth. Denmark is fighting it back. Fisher landing the arrows, and the Hanzo being oppressive right now on the other side.
All the focus going into Shax, but that just allows Fisher to farm everybody, getting a third kill in this fight. Wants the D.Va D-Mech. Looks like she's just going to be running back home to spawn. Great resilience there from Denmark, rezzing up Shax, and now the ultimates are starting to be online for Team Denmark. This is where things really get tough for Australia. Dealing with this Valkyrie, dealing with this Transcendence on a map like Junkertown, sometimes it's a struggle to even force those ultimates, much less get kills through them.
We got Huss looping around the backside again, looking for Shax. He's been priority number one. Trill, though, can't really get close enough to leap on him, when he decides to go in, so Shax has a buffer zone.
Kellick's committing the Valkyrie, potentially getting forced by the Sombra, getting a little bit scared there, so I expect to see Australia waiting this out. They're going to want to not engage until that Valkyrie's over. It's too much AoE healing for them to really deal with, but Shax layering in the Infrasight just as the Valkyrie ends. Now Australia feels like they have to wait even longer, so the clock is just burning down here.
And note that Huss has gotten forced out. Huss is really far back right now. He's not around, and the reason is because the Infrasight is up by Shax. Huss can't do the aggression for the entire duration of that ultimate. Dragon Strike comes out from Denmark, doesn't do much, but you still see the delay coming out here, and now Huss finally is going to be able to start rotating back over.
And CKM with the Nano Blade is going to have to find something here. Ding's Transcendence, though, is up, and we've seen how hard it is for CKM to combo those blades, especially when you have to use the Devil Dash.
Dragon Blade out for CKM, he's going in deep, looking for something, does get it, gets onto the Hanzo. Now for the D-Mech, gets that with the support of his team. It's a well-calculated dive from Australia, and Huss wasn't even in it. Now he's coming back in on the flank.
Danny with a bit of Save Your Buddy syndrome gets punished there. At this point, it's really all on Shax to find some picks, but he's still very threatening from that passive high ground. But Nerf falls, and now the pressure is coming into Ding.
One thing of note here, though, is that the payload has not been getting pushed the entire time. That was all hands on deck from the Australian offense, but the payload, it's actually retreating back.
Shax pops both supports, though. This could be very, very risky for Team Australia. They have no heals left in the fight. They need to wait for those supports to get back, and Shax is capitalizing yet again, finds Huss. Trill, low on HP, doesn't want to get aggressive here.
Shax might have done enough, but one thing Australia has to avoid here, it has to be the self-destruct coming in from Danny. As soon as he feels like there's a lot of people, he's going to let it fly. Now it goes, drops that back, and got absolutely nothing. That was a miscalculation if I ever saw one in Australia. They dive in with the Nano Boost, they punish, they electrocute Fisher, and Trill moving in, making space. Point A, gonna be going to Australia here if they play their cards right.
Nerf getting a lot of value in the backline, but not as much as Trill. That Nano Boost is too much to deal with. There's Australia capping point A, but so much time off the clock. Now the full hold on second looks very possible for Team Denmark, and look what the composition they're going to is. This has been the thorn in Australia's side all series long. These multiple stunts have been shutting down Huss, and with low farm on this EMP, he's gonna be really struggling to build it up.
And do you think the McCree is better here on the defense compared to the offense where Denmark got a little bit stalled out?
Oh, certainly, because when you're able to take this high ground position for free, McCree is much more effective. On the offense, you're forced to the low ground just to get to an effective position, and that's not where you want to be. That's a moment of vulnerability. So McCree from this high ground is going to be a lot more threatening, and you can see Huss, he's so worried. It's so difficult for him to uncloak and build up that EMP charge. But Shax isn't ready for him.
Well, you see Australia diving on in, which means that they're not looking at Huss from the backside, and Huss just laying in the damage here. No one's even looking at him. Does get forced out, but it's a nice dive coming in from Australia, but they don't get the early pickups. They decide, you know what, we still like this. We're going to invest the barrier, but they don't end up getting good use out of it. All they do is live, but they can't push back into Denmark.
CKM, though, coming up on the Nano Blade combo. This could be a big potential. No support ultimates available for Denmark. They really need to hit a stun on this Dragon Blade.
See just how it works out. A Kraken holding on. Nano Blade coming in. CKM immediately destroys Fisher. A little bit confused as to where everyone else is, but still finds the Zen. Easy pickings for CKM, and Australia is on their way.
Yeah, at this point, Australia looking to take Junkertown here. Denmark doesn't seem to have any answers left. Shax is one of the last alive. He's forced to retreat for a health pack, but McCree, one of the worst characters in these final second situations.
Australia, they just a few more meters here, and I'm not even sure anyone can touch a point. It's going to be close, but they do get their time just to potentially get blown up. Australia for control. They drop the EMP. Denmark in disarray, and Australia will not be going down without getting a little bit of something for their efforts. Looking to be a 3-1 here. They take Junkertown away from Denmark.
Great movement by Australia around the map. That was definitely too close for comfort, but finally CKM's Nano Blade finding the targets that he's looking for, picking off those supports, and with no heals left, it's all over. And just great movements by Australia around the map. I mean, that's a very difficult composition to play against. The McCree and the Brigida, those stuns, so difficult to answer. But great verticality by CKM. He stays in the air. It's too difficult for Fisher to find the sun. And when he focuses Fisher first, that's your main threat down.
Also, I'd say this is that, look, Australia has been a slow starting team since Friday when we've been watching them. And CKM, I do think, had a little bit of a rough go in the first 3 maps of the series, but he did look much better on Junkertown, and that could be good for Australia as they look towards some very difficult matches later in the day.
Yeah, Australia seem to be finding their footing here, but they'll need to be much stronger in future series. They need to get more wins on the board. Right now, Denmark is going to be top of the scoreline. Of course, these were the top 2 teams in the standings, at least. So Australia going to be needing to bring something new, maybe get a lot more 4-0s in their upcoming series.
Well, no doubt about it. And again, remember that as far as it goes, we haven't been able to see teams that have 2 or more losses get in. But you know what? We got Zoe down the floor. We got an interview. Let's check it out.
Thank you so much, guys. Yeah, I'm standing here with Kelix from Team Denmark. So first and foremost, of course, congratulations to you and your team starting off day 2 strong. Now, Australia did manage to snatch away that last map. However, on the first 3, you guys looked coordinated. You were very quick on the necessary switches. And overall, you looked very well prepared. Were some of the comms and strats you were running tailored specifically to Australia?
Not really, we just tried to play our game. I think the reason why we were shaky yesterday is because we were nervous and we just needed to get used to the stage, so we just played our game.
And that worked out just fine for you. Now, you have another big one coming up. Your next opponent will be China, which is considered one of the favorites to actually make it out of this group stage. Do you think you can hold on to the momentum?
Maybe, I hope so at least.
Okay, hoping. Let's go for that, but you guys looked absolutely fantastic on this stage. Can't wait to see you again in a few hours. So thank you very much for joining me here on the floor, Kelix. We're now heading over to the casters to break down the action.
Thank you, Zoe. Of course, Kelix there, a little bit nervous confidence, I'd say. Was like, yeah, I guess, but you know what? They should feel more confident because they looked great in the series.
Keeping it very honest there, but I like that, that he's just focusing on we're playing our own game. We're not prepping too hard for Australia. But what I liked about Team Denmark is that they're able to play their own game at the same time countering what Australia was bringing out. I mean, Australia has felt like they really don't know, they're not as effective without that fire composition. That's really their bread and butter. But of course, the McCree, the Zenyatta, and the Mercy, you don't want to be playing Farah into that much damage boost. So great plays from Denmark, showing that their game is certainly strong enough to take down Australia.
And of course, we were watching it all series long, and in case you're tuning in, of course, time zone differences can be a little bit rough. We got you covered. We got some highlights from the last match where we can go all through it, and I gotta say, there's some great plays, and this man Shax here, certainly a big one where, special delivery, blow them all up.
Such a great clutch play here from Shax. It almost looked like Australia was going to manage to stabilize. Here we see him on the Zarya, focusing down this nano-boosted Mercy. Not what we see every day, but 100 energy Zarya is a massive threat in the backline. A Kraken finding the nade to stabilize here on this offense.
In Australia, they definitely had their moments where, look, I think if you take a look at the coordination between Huss and Trill, when they were on, they were on. Good EMPs into the Nano Winston. I'd say the biggest part is that Huss was just getting checked a lot.
Yeah, equipping way more stuns makes you way more prepared for the Sombra, and that fear of the stuns, even if you're not actually picking off the Sombra with them, is going to limit her mobility on the map. A Kraken getting so many insane sleeps all series long. Wow, look at that, sliding around the corner to pick up McCree.
It was high noon, and you know what? High noon's a good time for a nap.
Yeah, sir, certainly for McCree, I guess. Not that was intentional for him.
Trill, of course, again, this is just the nano boost dives, and he was consistent, and he was consistent yesterday as well. Wasn't quite enough for Australia in the end, but CKM, more of a redemption story on Junkertown, to be sure.
Yeah, finally getting value out of this Genji Sombra combo. Has so much potential, but you do need to realize it with perfect ultimate tracking. If you're not ready for those transcendences, those Brigitte rallies, those can really shut down your combo, and if you miss one dash reset, everything comes crashing down.
Yep, and you know what? Credit to CKM, he was able to get together towards the end of the series, so I am curious to see what he does a little bit later today.
Yeah, certainly there's a lot more to see from him and all the rest of Australia.
Well, guys, you know what? This is just the first game of the day. Still a lot to come at you. China versus Thailand up next.